Good morning, 5 o'clock now, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And we begin with the severe weather threat that's bearing down on the Nashville area. Stefano DiPietro tells us we've got 2 days of tough weather ahead.
Today and then again going into Thursday of this week. So our weather pattern is once again getting more active again across Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky. Both the risk for strong thunderstorms, both of those days, the main concerns are going to be damaging wind gusts, heavier rainfall, and even potentially some hail. Luckily, the tornado threat is very, very low.
That's really good news. More with Stefano right after this newscast. Well, despite online claims of an increase in drink spiking incidents in Nashville, police tell Channel 4 they're not aware of it. Now, Vanderbilt University Medical Center says drink spike testing is only available for sex assault victims with law enforcement involvement. The Sexual Assault Center in Nashville tells Channel 4 city leaders are working on easier ways to determine if your drink has been spiked.
We want to know just as much as anybody as a city how many people are being drugged. It's just proven to be a very difficult thing to figure out, but we are committed to working on coming up with a solution.
Channel 4 says it's waiting for a response from the mayor's office. A man is under arrest for crashing into the Metro Nashville Police Department headquarters sign early Saturday morning. Police report Melvin Lainez Fuentes appeared to be drunk and had cocaine inside the car. He didn't have a driver's license, and local media companies did not report on whether he's in the country legally or not. Lainez Fuentes was convicted in 2023 of DUI. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Markets closed uneven Monday. The Dow was up 114 points. The S&P gained just 4, and the Nasdaq was 17 points lower. Markets may swing uneasily this week as investors digest earnings reports from Amazon, Apple, Meta, and Microsoft, and the April jobs report. China is implementing policies to counter the impact of combined tariffs of up to 145% on U.S. imports from China. Senior officials have promised support for companies and potential jobless workers and also eased lending conditions. The moves help counter slowing exports to the U.S. market. The Environmental Protection Agency has issued an emergency waiver that allows consumers to buy cheaper E15 gasoline this summer. E15 gasoline with 15% ethanol is cheaper than E10 gasoline with a 10% blend. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Well, stock futures pointing up this morning. We've got the Dow futures up 108, NASDAQ futures gaining 38, and the S&P futures are up 11. That's the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Just one problem so far this morning. It's on the eastbound side of 24 in Smyrna. There is a crash in the right shoulder at Sam Ridley Parkway, exit 66. That right shoulder is blocked off this morning. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to make sure. So, Joan, today is day 100.
It is day 100 today.
Okay. For whatever reason, I thought it was Wednesday, but in my defense, Wednesday would have been the first full day of the Trump administration.
Oh, I see.
So there you go. That's how I'm covering my whatever. So
I think that's right. Now I'm looking.
Well, Fox News is saying today is 100 days in office. The president going to Michigan, by the way, to mark 100 days in office. And so here's, first of all, we forgot the cake, but honestly, that's going to have to be okay.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting about day 100 is the media, they're really hard selling that Trump is dropping in the polls. Now, number one, I don't get, polling is like radio ratings, Joan, and I've always said this. Don't get too excited when the ratings are up. Don't get too down when the ratings are down.
For sure.
It's the same thing with polling. Donald Trump could have sat around and basically not done a whole hell of a lot, in which case perhaps his polling, I don't know, would have been higher. But Donald Trump is choosing, and he's betting his legacy on tariffs. Because to me, the low polling is all about tariffs. That's what Trump's low polling is all about, is the tariffs. I think that if he were doing nothing regarding the economy and just, sort of letting it do what it does, well, then his polling probably would be higher. I believe that people are reacting to the tariffs. Now, the conversation regarding the tariffs has a lot to do with the doomsaying media really talking about only the short-term impact of the tariffs as opposed to the long-term play that Donald Trump is making, not to mention all of the investment that is happening right now in America. You talk about lower taxes, you talk about deregulation, all of those things are baked into the economic cake. But the media, they are just so hard-pressed to sell doomsday on tariffs. As a matter of fact, where's the futures right now, Joan? I'm so glad you're back. Where are the futures right now?
They're looking pretty good. Dow futures up 98, NASDAQ futures gaining 36, S&P futures up 10.
And they were up yesterday. The market closed up yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a mixed bag. So
Mixed
the NASDAQ
bag.
was down just a little bit, 16 points.
All right, but the Dow was up and the S&P was up.
Yep.
All right, very good.
Yep.
So 100 days. And in 100 days, Trump has, in my opinion, he has accomplished a heck of a lot. Needs some audio KGB. First and foremost, and I believe that everyone knows that right now his greatest accomplishment, I believe, is what he's done with the southern border. Now, I don't know if you folks watch this, but Tom Homan, border czar Tom Homan, he was at the White House briefing yesterday. It was great. As we celebrate the first 100 days of Trump's presidency, Homan, he was looking at illegal immigration, and he was looking at what needed to be done with illegal immigration and closing the southern border. And Homan had a lot to say about this, as he should, because it is one of Donald Trump's biggest success stories.
Every president ever worked for took border security seriously, because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in, right? Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border because they understood national security was important.
Yep.
Joe Biden was the first president in the history of this nation who came in office and unsecured the border on purpose. That's just a fact.
Fact check true. Tom Homan is right. And here's the deal. Everybody knows it. You know it. I know it. Trump knows it. I'm not sure if Joe Biden knows it, but I don't know if Joe Biden knows what day it is. But I don't need to do a 15-minute monologue on Joe Biden. And by the way, that's not only a monologue on Joe Biden that I've done many times, but also that is a monologue on the ever-lying media, which we talked about yesterday. There's some follow-up to that as well. So we'll continue talking about all of that this morning. But, you know, I want to focus right now on the victory and the first 100 days of Donald Trump directly related to how the president is keeping America safer.
Border numbers are historic low. Today, as I'm standing here, we are the most secure border in the history of this nation, and the numbers prove it. President Trump's policies are saving lives every day. There's been studies done that says 31% of women that make that journey through use of cartels get sexually assaulted.
Yep.
When President Trump has illegal immigration down 96%, when 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being sexually assaulted by the cartels?
You know, part of, I think, what the Democrats are trying to do, the whole conversation regarding Kilmar Garcia Abrego, is that they're trying to water down or dilute the victories that Donald Trump has had. And so for old Kilmar there, one of the things that they're trying to do is focus on something that they believe is negative when it's really not. Now, continuing with Homan's thoughts here, how many kids are not being trafficked? How many kids are not being recruited into gangs in schools across the country? Because as I've told you many times, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, they recruit kids in the schools into their gangs. How much fentanyl is not being smuggled into America? And on it goes. And then here we are at 100 days. Homan got specific.
Under the Biden administration, we averaged over 11,000 many days, over 12,000, even some days 15,000 illegal entrants in the United States. 15,000. You know what the number was last 24 hours? 178.
Wow.
15,000 to 178. Unprecedented success.
And here's the thing about that. Clearly, obviously, a huge success. As we go through these numbers, I want you to also think about all of the absolute BS that Kamala Harris and Alejandro Mayorkas and Joe Biden fed us day after day after day when they talked about, oh, well, I mean, obviously the border's secure. That was BS. But also when they kept saying, well, you know, our immigration system, it's a broken system. I'm air quoting. It's a broken system and Congress has to fix it. Donald Trump literally came in day one, fixed the problem. Clearly a victory. Here's more, and Tom Homan talking about the number of gotaways.
Average day under Joe Biden, more than 1,800 gotaways. Yesterday, 38.
1,800 gotaways a day. That is down to 38. And how many people were actually, and this next number is absolutely stunning. How many people were actually released into our country under Joe Biden as opposed to Donald Trump? You've got to hear this. It is all straight ahead. 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads.
Well, they're doing paving this morning on 65, both north and southbound in Goodlettsville, right at the Davidson-Sumner County line. Watch out for that. Also, you've got a crash on 24, the eastbound side at Sam Ridley Parkway in Smyrna. That one is blocking off the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. As far as your weather for today, we've got 86 degrees, mostly cloudy. Possible thunderstorms as well. Joan, do we know when those are supposed to come in?
You know what? I don't have the timeline. I just know that it's not going to be terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hail. Little bit of hail, I think you
Possible.
said. Possible hail.
But the tornado threat is really not there for either today or Thursday, the 2 days that it's expected to get a little rough.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you, Joan. I appreciate it. It is 5:15, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, the 99.7 WTN. All right, so going over some of the great audio from Tom Homan yesterday as he was in the White House press briefing. How many people were actually released into our country under brain-dead Biden and Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas? I know. And Alejandro Mayorkas and Kamala Harris, they let a lot of these people into our country, and Homan brought the receipts. Listen.
Last year, 184,000 illegal aliens were released into the United States. Under this administration, 9. 4 of them were material witnesses in a criminal investigation. We need them here to testify in a serious criminal trial. 4 was extreme medical condition. We couldn't return them because they were in such bad shape. And 1 was a humanitarian issue. This is unprecedented success.
Yeah, it is unprecedented. I don't know. You know what's interesting? Has there ever been, and you super texters could chime in on this one, 615-737-9986. Has there ever been, in such a short amount of time, a greater fix or a greater overall win for a president than Donald Trump on the border? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, usually if there is a presidential victory, it takes a long time for it to play out. I'm trying to think of a time in modern history, anyway. You can talk about, Bill Clinton. You could talk about Obama. You could talk about Biden. You could talk about, Reagan, Trump's first term. I mean, we could go through all of the presidents, the Bushes. Has there ever been such a complete and decisive victory on any kind of initiative or policy where the victory was so instantaneous and complete as Donald Trump on the southern border? I don't know if there has been, but chime in, 615-737-9986. I think part of what was going on, day 100, we have the numbers that I just shared. Biden was always running out the clock. Now remember, talking about, again, how Congress had to do it, the system was broken, and Congress has to fix it, knowing, of course, that they wouldn't, and that means that he could just continue to run out the clock and let all of these illegals in. I love what Tom Homan had to say yesterday.
You know why the Biden administration released millions of people in the United States? No one ever talks about it. I'll talk about it. Why did they release people into the interior of the United States and put them, rather than put them into an ice bed? Why not put them in an empty ice bed at $127 a night rather than in a hotel room at $500 a night? They did it on purpose. Because when you put them in an ice detention bed, they get a hearing in 35 days. Court records show 9 out of 10 people claim asylum, get order removal, they're gone. But if you release them and put them in a hotel room at $500 a night, their hearings could be 5, 7, 9 years if you pull out all appeals. And what are they hoping for then? That another Democrat administration is in power. They can award an amnesty to millions. This is about selling this country off for future political power.
Yep. I mean, obviously he's right. And when Homan said, nobody wants to talk about it, I'm going to raise my hand. I've been talking about it. Talk radio's been talking about it for a long time. I mean, some of the big podcasters that are out there that have kind of come along to where talk radio has been for, frankly, years, friends. And so Homan was then asked about the Trump administration deporting 2, 4, and 7-year-olds. Joan, you missed all the fun yesterday.
What fun? No, wait, there's no fun without
the
right?
That is absolutely true. So the media talking about the deporting of the 2, 4, and 7-year-olds that actually never happened.
Oh, yes.
And
Love that one.
we did talk about this. Yes, just another hoax. Mm-hmm. The kids were not deported. The mom was, and they chose to take the kids with them. And Homan was talking all about that.
If you enter this country legally, it's a crime. If you remain in this country legally and you ignore a judge's order about deporting, if you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision.
Yep.
Parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today would be Trump administration separating families again. No, we're keeping families together. So when a parent says, I want my 2-year-old baby to go with me, we made that happen. They weren't deported. We don't deport U.S. citizens. The parents made that decision, not the United States government. But I don't hear any questions about Laken Riley had a mother. She's never going to see her child again. Rachel Morin, she had 5 children. Those children are never going to see their mom again. This administration is doing the right thing.
Absolutely, this administration is doing the right thing. And I thought Tom Homan yesterday was great during the White House press briefing. He was on target, and the media, I will tell you that I thought that the media was unusually restrained, and they didn't really go after Tom Homan at all, really, during that White House press briefing yesterday. And again, I think if there's anything to celebrate with President Donald Trump in the first 100 days, there's a lot to celebrate. And here's the deal. Again, I don't care about where the numbers are. I don't care about his polling, because what the polling proves is that Donald Trump is willing to take a hit in the polling for the future growth of America. And let me tell you something, that takes some guts. And so Donald Trump feels like he's doing the right thing. He is willing to take the hit politically for the long-term growth. By the way, I asked a question. I said, all right, so has there ever been any president who has had a more decisive victory in such a short amount of time as Donald Trump has had with the wall? 0164 says Doge. 4702 and Ron both say Reagan and the hostages. Okay. You know, that was like a day. That was like a few hours. But I think the Iranians clearly, I mean, they did not like Jimmy Carter at all, obviously. And I don't, this goes back to, what was that? What year was that? 80? What year were the Iranians?
79.
Well, no. Okay, so it was 1980 when they were released, though, right?
Let's see.
Yeah, because it was...
Yeah, 1981, actually.
1981?
January 1981. It lasted 444 days.
Okay. So, yeah, and I think they knew that Reagan wasn't going to stand for any foolishness, and so they released those hostages right quick. So, yeah, okay. I think Doge, and that's also been a very big victory for Donald Trump. You know, the left will say, oh, well, Doge, it's, they promised $1 to $2 trillion in savings. It's only $155 billion. I don't care. It's future savings. And again, and I've said this 1,000 times, but it's also exposing the Democrats and their crazy, stupid, silly spending of your money, taxpayer dollars, on things that you would never, ever approve. 5:23 on Nashville's Morning News, and let's talk to Joan Jones, and she has the news coming up at 5:30. Joan, what's up?
Yeah, so the Liberals are staying in power for our neighbors to the north. Also, how the media has covered President Trump in his first 100 days. We've got those stories here coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
528, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan, have you seen this? I don't even know how to say this dude's name. Is it Shri Thanadar?
Who?
He's a
Yeah, sure. I'll go with that.
he's a congressman,
Okay.
and apparently he is demanding that Donald Trump be impeached. He's a congressman out of Michigan.
Oh, yes.
Folks, I kid you not. We're gonna play some of this audio, but let me just play a little snippet of Shri Thanadar and go.
This is Congressman Shri Thanadar. Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
Do you know this looks like a Saturday? I'm gonna tweet this out. This looks like a Saturday Night Live, and it sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Didn't Biden try to do the same thing against a 9-0 verdict?
I don't remember. Probably.
Because remember when Trump was like he was going to be president again? They did everything they could to try to reverse that. Like even states try to make him ineligible.
Yeah, I'm probably. I don't remember. But this guy, Shri Thanadar, I guess is how he says his name. He is, of course, asking for donations to impeach Donald Trump.
Nice.
So you know what's going on, right? So what's going on is the Democrats are now going to start fundraising on impeachment. I told you so. Got more straight ahead. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 5:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We're at 70 degrees right now, waiting for some storms later on today. More on that with Stefano DiPietro right after the news. While the final seat totals are still pending, Canadian broadcasters have now called that Mark Carney led the Liberals to a victory in Canada's elections, which happened yesterday.
And there you have it. CTV News Decision Desk declaring a Liberal win. We know that the Liberals will be forming the next government of Canada. The big question right now, Vashi, is will it be a majority or a minority?
Still undetermined there, but Liberal Mark Carney's victory cements the Liberal Party's decade in power. Carney had been Prime Minister-elect after Justin Trudeau resigned in March. Here in Nashville, Metro Police are working to identify two bodies that were found in Donaldson. Someone out for a walk near the Lincoln Bay apartments discovered those bodies. Both men had been shot. Police say they don't have any suspect information.
We are looking to see, obviously, if this has any gang affiliation. All options are open at this juncture. Some representatives from the federal government are also here as we try to advance this investigation and see just what exactly has occurred and who's responsible.
Anybody with information about the case has been asked to call Crime Stoppers at 615-742-7463. While the Trump administration is celebrating the first 100 days of a second term in office, the press has been less than celebratory. The Media Research Center compiling data now it found major network media coverage during the first 100 days has been 92% negative. The report says the same networks provided Joe Biden 59% positive coverage during his first 100 days. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, we have some paving work going on this morning on 65 southbound side. That they're now saying that one lane is open in Millersville. It's 65 south before Highway 31 west, exit 98. Also, a crash in Smyrna on 24, but this is the eastbound lanes at Sam Ridley Parkway. The right shoulder there is blocked. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.536, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I don't know if you folks heard, but yesterday was a really big day in Washington, D.C.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
She got impeached, right, for that? Just for that. I don't care what else she did. That's impeachment.
No, I think she got a raise for that, actually.
That's like a mayor in Knoxville calling the volunteers the voles.
So the Eagles were at the White House yesterday.
Yeah.
And I think, was there one player that did decide?
Jalen Hurts decided not to go.
There was more than one. There was kind of a big
There were
group.
two.
And did they give a reason why they decided not to go?
Scheduling, yeah.
I would be really curious. Like, if you ask a Jalen Hurts, all right, Jalen, so clearly it's not because of scheduling. Don't lie. I'm going to assume that he just decided not to go because he's being a petulant person. But what I would say is, if you decide not to go see the President of the United States in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you played the entire season, you made it to the Super Bowl, you won the Super Bowl, and now it's time to go see the president, as has been tradition for years.
Yes.
And Jalen Hurts, if you decide not to go because you don't like Donald Trump, at least have the balls to say why you're not going.
Asked by a reporter on the red carpet of Time magazine's gala last week whether he would visit, Hurts responded with an awkward and a long silence before walking away.
Okay, so at least, again, if you make this decision, and listen, if he doesn't want to go, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But tell people what exactly is the problem you have with Trump. What's the problem? That's what I want to know. You know, Donald Trump, not to belabor the point, but I will because that's what I do. But I think it was just last week or the week before, he signed an executive order that gave the historically black colleges and universities a boatload of money. So what exactly is the problem, Jalen Hurts? The other thing that I would say to Jalen Hurts is, okay, Jalen, so if you want to talk about, the plight of, black people in America, well, guess what? When Donald Trump shut the borders down, that helps all communities, including the black community, for many reasons, including it opens up a bunch of jobs. And so he's trying to do everything he can to protect all Americans, including black Americans. So it's like, tell us, Jalen, what exactly is your problem with Trump? Come out and say it and let it be fodder for conversation. Is it immigration? Is it the fact that you do feel like he's a racist? What exactly is the problem? But instead, you just say, oh, I've got scheduling problems. No, come out and tell the American people what your problem is. If you want to make a stand, make a real stand.
ELG! E-S-E-S, Eagles!
Because apparently
It could also be influenced by his people, because every one of these big-time quarterbacks has a group around him kind of helping him with this kind of stuff. I guarantee you there's probably some people in his ear saying, don't go.
whatever. And then there was Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley.
Mhm.
Yep.
Who actually went golfing with the president, and people are freaking out about that.
Yeah, it's really pathetic.
He not only went golfing, but he flew on not Air Force One, Marine One,
Yep.
to come back to Washington, D.C. So they went golfing at the Bedminster Trump Club.
Yep.
And they spent some time together.
Mhm.
I love it.
And what did Saquon say to all of that controversy about hanging out with President Donald Trump?
He basically said, like, guys, I respect the office. I respect the position. I even golf with Obama. If you have a problem with me golfing with Trump, like, please just calm yourselves. It's not that big of a deal. Like, get on with your lives, basically.
Well, and unfortunately, that's what people do is, they like to mind other people's business. But Saquon knows and knew at the time that would be a very controversial thing to go golfing with the president. And so, but at least he's being honest, and he's talking about how, he went golfing and get on with your lives.
Yeah, I even made a tweet or a post about this saying, like, if this is what bothers you, you must live a great life. Like, it's truly pathetic if this is bothering you that much. It's really pathetic.
Here's what President Trump had to say about Jalen Hurts.
Complimenting Saquon's historic season was an incredible year from star quarterback Jalen Hurts, and he had a great season and a great game. Finished with 32 touchdowns in the year, turning in one stellar performance after another.
See, like he was not affected by the fact that Jalen Hurts decided not to come.
Yeah. Trump, I think he's, and we've talked about it before, I think he is over the hatred.
Yeah.
He just, at this point, is like, whatever. He also said this, by the way, regarding the Eagles.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor to be with this incredible group of champions, great team. And we're thrilled to welcome everyone to the White House, special place, and to celebrate the Super Bowl 59 champion, the Philadelphia Eagles. And that was a special day. That was a big one. But the Eagles have turned out to be an incredible team, an incredible group with a fantastic coach and coaches. And having you at the White House is very, very special and important. And we appreciate you being here.
I love that, and it would have been funny, though, if he tried to lead them in a chant.
Oh, yeah.
And just started, trolling the mayor of Philadelphia, who, of course, has,
59 champions.
We all know what she did. EALG. How did she do it? What was it, Joan?
I don't know.
Oh, yes, you do.
No, I don't.
You know what? You're gonna force me.
Silly.
E-L-G-S-E-S, Eagles!
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
The other people are chanting it correctly, and they're like, wait, this isn't right. They kind of stall for a couple, like just a second. They're like, wait a second.
I actually saw the video for the first time.
Yeah.
And because I always just played the audio, but I'd never actually seen the video. It's very funny. The people in the background is like, oh, no. She's done it again. Now, do you think that she was just, obviously, if you're the mayor of Philadelphia, you know how to spell the word Eagles. She just obviously, clearly.
She's caught up in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or she was...
The moment of incorrect spelling.
Or she was the product of Philadelphia schools.
That's the likely scenario.
Last place
actually.
in her elementary school spelling bee.
Hey, can I ask you a question? And I don't mean to get awkward here, but Joan, you go into the women's room, correct?
I do.
It's not the right way to start this.
Is the soap in the women's room watered down?
Oh, no.
Of course it's not.
Are you kidding me, really? Because KGB and I were talking, and the soap, this is like the minor annoyances that we have to deal with at the radio station. By the way, we love it here. Let's get that out of the way. Well, I love it here. KGB is whatever. So anyway.
What does that mean?
So the water, the soap in the men's room is watered down. And even in the unisex bathroom, the soap is watered down. And don't even get me started on the one-ply toilet paper. Let me guess, you've got like 4-ply toilet paper, don't you?
No,
in the
we
women's
have
room.
one ply. You have to roll off half the roll to use it.
Why does one ply even exist? No one likes one ply. It
So,
is universally hated.
It has also been, I don't know if you've noticed this, but like there's no dish detergent in the kitchen.
I didn't know that.
There's no cups. There's no nothing.
Oh, yeah, we don't have paper cups.
Like
we ran
they
out.
moved out.
Well,
Yeah.
Joan, you know that all the good stuff is downstairs. We've spoken about that before. I'm baffled by the watering down of the soap.
They have a little oven for your toast in there, too. Like those little
they got
small ones.
They got an espresso machine down there and everything. So
Dan and I used it one time, like we were being really bad. We're
We
going to
did.
use that machine.
Is that why you guys were sick for that one day?
No.
You guys got in trouble, actually?
Got suspended for using their
one day
sales
for
department's espresso
yes,
machine.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been baffled for months on why all of a sudden our soap is like watered down.
It's
no
been
matter
watered
where you
down.
go.
Well, it's been watered down in the unisex one. That's
Do you know
for
what?
sure.
I was here really early today, and I wanted to go into the women's room and just like test out the soap. That's how annoyed I am at the.
Dan, you just have to say you're a woman. You're good.
You know, that's a good point. Actually,
Yeah.
you know what? For this 2-minute investigation, I'm going to identify as a woman.
Yeah, that's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else.
If you do that, just let me know in advance so I can film you going in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give the rest of the hosts just infinite ammunition.
It's almost like I want to, maybe on a Friday, we'll do the most annoying thing about your workplace, like folks listening.
I like that.
Ooh,
Yeah.
You
and
know
like
what I mean?
callers call in. I would love that.
That would, by the way, be my last show on WTN, I'm sure.
And then we'll say, well, these 5 guys can identify as women and go into my bathroom.
So, is there ever a reason to tape or tie a child to a chair?
This story just.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
So Nashville Public Schools has placed a teacher on leave due to an allegation involving a student last week. They have confirmed that a teacher has been placed on leave because they're investigating the fact that apparently a first grader was either taped or tied to a chair. The exact time at which the allegation took place has not been released at this time, and they say the teacher in question was placed on administrative leave in accordance with district policies and so forth.
Not fired, of course.
I'm trying to figure out, okay, so why would you tape or tie a kid to a chair? It feels like it's got to be part of a joke.
No,
Doesn't it?
It was a
Joan?
first
No.
grader. So I don't like you might do that if you were joking around with a kid who's in junior high.
Yes.
But when it's a first grader, there's something sinister about that.
Really? So do you think the kid was like misbehaving and so she literally tied him to a chair?
I do.
I'm not laughing. It's not funny.
I do.
I hope the kid is not autistic or something like that, because that would make this this is a criminal act. Then I feel like, but if I hope that's not the case. But if it is, she should never teach again. But of course, unions will defend her because they
will
defend everyone.
Absolutely, they will.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as to I want more information. I want more information on what happened, and hopefully we'll get the information. But yeah, horrible story out of Nashville, and when we find out one way or another. Aaron sent this to me. So we've all spoken about how bad the schools are. I mean, the mayor of Philadelphia doesn't know how to spell Eagles. This is a piece of audio that went viral. This was, and we've talked about this on this show, which is why I wanted to play it, about how kids, they're not learning in the schools. This is a video of a guy who had his first day of substitute teaching.
I thought y'all was lying to me on this app when y'all said that these kids didn't know nothing. These kids don't know like nothing, nada. They don't know basic math like addition, subtraction, division, fractions, multiplication. They don't know none of that. And it is really sad. They can tell you what a gay person is, what's bisexual, what the diddy do, what kind of gun this is, who sang this song, the lyrics to that, and they know all of that. They know what studs and dykes is, but they don't know what basic math is. Parents, what are y'all doing? Y'all are failing y'all kids. It is not on these teachers. All that they're doing there is just talk, play around, horse around. Y'all got work to do. Like, I'm not understanding, and they don't even understand why they don't understand. And that's more confusing. Like, what?
There you go.
Hold on.
That's what's going on.
He said this is parents. This is not on teachers. Did I catch that in the middle of that?
Yes, he did say that, which, by the way, is not true.
No.
It is. There is a shared accountability and culpability here. Number one, and many things can be true with education these days. Many things can be true. Number one, we have sucky teachers who have been burned out for years, and they're a waste of space in front of the class. That's number one. Number two, there's some really good teachers out there that, frankly, with their degree, they could probably go find a job, any other job, to take their time up and earn money, right? So there's some teachers, in my opinion, that they could get another job, but they do it for the kids. Other things can also be true, like parents. They are not teaching their kids. They're not holding their kids accountable. They're not doing the homework. But other kids and other parents are doing that. So that many things can be true. But I totally get what this guy is saying. I mean, we all know that there is a lot going on in the schools these days. And let's be honest, especially in some of the schools like Metro Nashville, like Shelby County as well, where there is no discipline. And one of the reasons why there's no discipline is because the teachers are afraid to discipline because they'll get sued, they'll get fired, etc. What did he do? What did he do? What did he do?
Are you actually asking me, or?
You know what? That story's kind of fallen off the, at least for me, fallen off the face of the earth. So,
it has.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with Diddy these days.
Instead of Epstein's Island, it was Diddy's party. Is basically how I remember it.
Yep. There you go. And Lindsay has also sent me a note and asked me, how is it that, I'm assuming she means with the news cycle every single day. How do I stay so chipper? That's what Lindsay basically wants to know. How do I stay so happy when the news cycle is so terrible?
There's something in the tea that you guys don't know about.
It's all in the slippery elm.
Yeah, it's always in the slippery elm.
It's always in the slippery elm.
And that's why you get in trouble.
He gets
with
a
it.
little. There's a little something special in there for him.
No, actually, I don't think the news cycle is terrible. Do you, Joan? Do you guys think the news cycle is terrible?
I don't. I don't.
I think there is a lot of victories and a lot of terrific stories that need to be told. And I think that I take great pleasure in talking about conservative victories, and I take great pleasure in pointing out the absurdities of people on the left, and I take great pleasure in just coming in here every day and working with Joan and GKB and
GKB.
Did you get what I did there?
I did.
I think I think GKB totally missed that. Did you get what I did there?
Wake him up. He's sleeping.
E-S-E-S, Eagles!
Okay.
For those not on the YouTube or any of the streams, I gave Dan just the deathest of death stares.
That's all right. That's fine. Whatever. Yeah. So I love my job, and I love coming in here every single day. Joan, how do you stay so chipper? I know that part of it is that you like working with me every morning.
That's clearly what's going on here.
Sure.
Yeah. You
Yeah, that was a defeated yeah.
Wow.
You know. I mean, if you don't enjoy coming to your job, if you don't have fun with it,
That's right.
why are you here?
That's right.
So.
And what Joan does is she bides her time till 9 until Chris Hand shows up, and then she has a really good time.
That's funny.
Because Joan likes Chris better than me. I'm just kidding, Joan.
Not true.
All right. It's
So chipper, Dan.
5:54 in Nashville's Morning News. Joan Jones is preparing for a 6 o'clock newscast. Joan.
With joy. We'll have more on what that Nashville teacher did to the first grader that got her on administrative leave. Also, there was a fighter jet that actually fell off an aircraft carrier. Did you hear this story? Crazy one.
What happened?
The fighter jet that fell off an aircraft carrier.
It fell off an aircraft carrier?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and now you're interested, right?
I am. That's a major league tease there, Joan Jones.
You betcha it is. Those stories coming up here at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
5:55, Nashville's Morning News, and Mother's Day is coming up, friends. Now, I'm going to give you a great idea for a great gift for the mom in your life. Now, for the record, Mother's Day, May 11th, and I want you to think about an incredible and transformative facial from my friends at Contours. Now, you know, they are famous for their ultra-slim technology that stimulates collagen and tightens the skin, helping those fine lines and age spots to fade. And right now, a special just for the mom in your life. You're going to get a facial and a belly buster treatment from Contours for just $199. I'm telling you, folks, you are saving hundreds of dollars. That is a huge discount. First 5 callers right now get that special price, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. See how it all works at ContoursLLC.com. You sit under that red light, you relax, and you enjoy being pampered as you go through this non-invasive process that will help you look amazing and feel more confident. And don't forget about the Mother's Day special. You are going to get a Contours facial and a belly buster treatment, both for $199. First 5 callers right now, 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960. Check them out online, ContoursLLC.com. $5:59, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So there are a couple of people in Metro Nashville schools. One that is daring me, Joan, to come see the good they do in Metro Nashville schools.
No one doubts.
And then I dare you to continue bashing us or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I'm just
no one doubts the good
I'm just
people.
going by the scores.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing. I'm going by the scores. And also, let's not forget the uber liberal school board as well for Metro Nashville schools. And Adrian Battle. Don't get me started on that. So that's all I'm doing, man. I'm just going by the scores. And I'm just telling you that the scores at Metro Nashville schools, they are not good. And no, I don't want to go see the schools. I don't need to go see the schools. I see the scores. It is 6 o'clock, and I have to hear Adrian Battle speak. It is 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, good morning, 6 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And the top story is one that we've been talking about, a Metro Public School teacher accused of taping a student to a chair.
This happened over at the Mount View Elementary School. The first grade teacher is now on administrative leave, while a spokesperson with Metro Nashville Schools says they're investigating those allegations.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams there. Metro Nashville police are searching for who's responsible for shooting and killing two men. Their bodies found in a wooded area on a trail near Percy Priest Lake. This woman believes she witnessed those shots.
I was kind of scared. So that thing happened around 2:30 when I woke up, and I started hearing more and more. So it was maybe 10 times or something like that.
Police have not identified the two men who were killed. After several notable crashes involving non-English speaking truck drivers, President Trump has now taken action.
Problem in the trucking community that, unless you're in that community, you might not know, but there's a lot of communication problems between truckers on the road with federal officials and local officials as well, which obviously is a public safety risk. So we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our economy, are all able to speak English. That's a very common sense policy in the United States of America.
That's White House Press Secretary, of course, Carolyn Leavitt. Trump designated English as the country's official language in an executive order back in March. The Pentagon is confirming an F-18 fighter jet fell off the USS Truman and into the Red Sea. The aircraft carrier has been stationed there protecting commercial shipping from ongoing attacks by Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. And ABC's Trevor Alt tells us that could complicate the recovery of that jet.
Officials say it's unclear whether enemy fire played a role or other factors like human error or mechanical malfunction. And officials say the chances of recovering that $70 million fighter jet are quite low, as that is an active conflict area.
The jet was being towed out of a hangar on the USS Truman when the crew lost control. Now, one crew member was on the plane, a second on the tractor that was pulling it. Both escaped at the last moment. And President Trump welcoming the Super Bowl winning Philadelphia Eagles to the White House yesterday. During the celebration, the president singled out the team's head of security.
You know, this is a guy, they say he loves Trump. This is a guy, and I had Saquon give him a big, beautiful hat last night because I've been hearing about this guy. He likes Trump. His name is Dominic DeSandro, Big Dom, and he's sort of a legend.
Yeah, so running back Saquon Barkley spent time with President Trump at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster over the weekend, and then he flew back to Washington on Marine One. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got stock futures all in the green this morning. Things are pointing up. Turning a little bit negative right now. The Dow futures are up 81 points. Now the NASDAQ futures are down 49 and the S&P futures losing 10 points. That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Okay, in Goodlettsville on 65, both directions, they've got paving work going on, and one lane is open each direction. It's the Davidson-Sumner County line. Also in Antioch, they're still working a crash scene this morning, Century Farms Parkway at William Turner Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.607 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Man, there is so much going on. By the way, Matthew Hurt is going to be joining us coming up here at 6:36 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The fallout from Alex Thompson's comments at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. By the way, Joan, you missed all that fun and frivolity yesterday. But just a reminder as to what Alex Thompson said. This is the Axios reporter, real quick, because there's been a lot of reaction to it. The Axios reporter calling out his own industry and his own colleagues for lying to the American people. Remember this.
To my bones, I believe that reporting and the White House Correspondents Association is as necessary as ever. President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows.
Actually,
some responsibility.
I was going to say, you actually bear all the responsibility, dude. I love I guess we better clap.
Yeah.
So that, of course, reverberated across the country because of this notion that the legacy or left-wing media isn't biased, which we all know that, of course, it is.
Yeah.
The idea that the media is not biased is as much of a lie as the claim that Biden was mentally competent, which clearly he wasn't.
I do agree with that assessment from Alex Thompson, who I understand won an award for writing a story months and perhaps years after the American people already knew that story to be true. Millions of Americans watched our mentally incompetent president struggle with his day-to-day duties of this office. We watched our country be ran into the ground as a result, and nobody in the media wanted to write about that, talk about it. There were many reporters, I will say, right-leaning reporters who did talk about that, who didn't get awards, didn't get coverage. In fact, they were lambasted for their coverage. And I remember being on President Trump's campaign, talking about Joe Biden's clear mental incompetence and being accused by people in this room of manufacturing deep fake videos, trying to persuade the public into not believing what they saw with their own eyes for many years. And I think it's about time the legacy media finally admits that was one of the greatest cover-ups and scandals that ever took place in American history, and certainly it did contribute to the decline in the trust that Americans have for the legacy media.
One of the greatest scandals in journalism history, I think, is what Caroline Levitt said. I would agree with that. Would you agree with that, Joan? Is the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental decline one of the greatest scandals, one of the greatest cover-ups in history.
Absolutely.
I would agree with Caroline Levitt, but there's so many. That's the thing, though, Joan. There's so many. There was, of course, that one. There is the Hunter Biden laptop.
Oh, yeah.
That literally impacted an election, and that changed the course of history.
Because 17% of voters said that they would have voted differently if they knew the truth about that story.
That's exactly right. And then Joe Biden gets in. We have the failed pullout of Afghanistan. That leads to Vladimir Putin going into Ukraine. The weak sanctions also encouraged Putin, in my opinion, to go into Ukraine. Joe Biden opened up the border. I mean, I could go on and on about how that story and that cover-up changed the course of human history. And so here's the thing about what Thompson said is he was right. We all know what happened. But some in the media, believe it or not, they continue to defend themselves. Chuck Todd, oh my Lord, host of Meet the Press now, he is reacting to all of this. He was on a podcast. Now, Chuck Todd, he was on, remind me, Joan, Chuck Todd was on, was it Meet the Press?
He was Meet the Press.
Meet the Press. And he got bounced off of Meet the Press. But listen to this.
This is not a media failure. This is a failure of the Democratic Party. And I just sort of the virtue signaling that some people have done to try to say that the media missed this story. They didn't miss this story. David Ignatius wrote, I just refuse to accept this stupid premise because it's a right-wing, manufactured right-wing premise in order to stain the media. The media's got plenty of things to attack them for, and there are MSNBC and CNN and pundits that absolutely carried water for Joe Biden, but they're not journalists.
I'm so confused because literally a journalist at the White House Correspondents' Dinner talked about how they missed a story, which, by the way, I believe they lied. I went through all that yesterday. I believe they willingly lied.
Is such the wrong word for this story.
Correct.
They didn't miss. This was intentional.
It was intentional. They were lying. And everybody they were gaslighting. Everybody knows that. So Todd now comes back and he says, oh, this is a right-wing propaganda. Well, if it's a right-wing narrative, then why did Alex Thompson, a journalist, and I'm air quoting because I really don't know much about him, but he said that we missed the story, again, air quoting, and everybody clapped. I think that they were sort of, they clapped out of, what's the right word? They felt like they had to clap, they begrudgingly clapped. But here's the thing. If you want to blame the pundits, I would say to Chuck Todd, if you want to blame the pundits, well, the media puts these pundits on, and they did carry water for Joe Biden. There was no pushback or fact-checking when they said that Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. And by the way, the other thing that I would ask, where were all of these supposed journalists when Biden was clearly in decline? And I'll harken back to the Hunter Biden story. Zero journalistic curiosity or integrity. Nobody, remember the Wall Street Journal, they reported on Joe Biden's decline. The New York Post reported on the Hunter Biden laptop. Nobody in the mainstream media, no other media outlets picked up on the story and did their own investigation. No journalistic curiosity at all. It wasn't until, remember this, it wasn't until George Clooney wrote that opinion piece that the Democrats and the media finally admitted that something was amiss and they decided to make a move. But wait, there's a lot more to the hypocrisy and the idiocy. That is what Chuck Todd had to say. Details straight ahead, 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a high of 86, mostly cloudy, possible thunderstorms as well. Nothing tornadic. Right now, 70 degrees, super talk.
Tornadic?
Tornadic.
Is that a word?
Yes.
It's a word? Oh, sorry. I've never heard that word before.
How about you not interrupt me in the middle of my all-important weather?
I was just concerned. I was just like, are you pulling a Biden? I didn't know tornadic. That's on me. I swear I've never heard that word before.
It's all right. It's all going to go in my report. Totally kidding. 6:15.
I've already gotten that report.
Nashville's Morning News. All right, so talking about Chuck Todd and what he had to say. Now, part of all of this is the fact that Chuck himself actually has talked about how the media, and I'm going to, again, air quote, missed this story. But remember, George Clooney writing that opinion piece that the Democrats and the media finally admitted something was wrong, and they did decide to make a move.
They're not journalists. They're former strategists that carried water for Joe Biden. The journalist, David Ignatius, wrote a very high-profile column in October of 23 saying, is he really running again? This doesn't seem like a good idea. People like me were promoting Dean Phillips' campaign because he was running.
Did you hear what he said? That last comment. He promoted Dean Phillips' campaign. As a journalist, Joan, because I'm not a journalist, I'm a talk show host, used to be. But when I used to be a journalist, I would not promote anyone's campaign.
Right.
What you do is you cover that story. You cover that campaign as a news story. You don't promote a campaign, right?
That's generally the rule.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Here's more from Chuck Todd.
This is an attempt by some to virtue signal, and it's this horrible sort of pitting different news organizations against each other, when ultimately the people at fault are Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Jill Biden, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, every elected member of Congress.
Wow. So he's trying to completely clear the media of ignoring this story about Joe Biden's mental decline. Now, first of all, when he says every elected member of Congress, I'm sorry, but no up, Chuck. The Republicans were sounding the alarm, as were Republican talk show hosts, conservative talk show hosts, and so forth. So Republicans were on this. Conservatives were on this. It was, and this is part of the story, the Democrats and the media chose to completely ignore the story. Second point, and again, the president sharp as a tack thing, where, everybody clearly, got their talking points, and the president was sharp as a tack. And I think that was one of those moments where you look back and it's hilarious. And we all were playing the audio. Joe Biden is sharp as a tack, what all the media outlets were saying. Everybody had the same talking points. And then we'd play audio of Joe Biden clearly not sharp as a tack. So it does seem like Chuck Todd is virtue signaling himself. Second point, he seems to have changed his mind on all of this, because I want you to remember a while back, and Joan, I think you were with us at this time, when he actually did say that journalists were indeed carrying the water for Joe Biden. This is Chuck Todd when he was on with Piers Morgan. Clearly, he has changed his tune.
Look, we were subtle. He's using the back staircase. He's not using the front staircase. Hey, he's not doing any interviews. So there was this reluctance to draw the conclusion to say, is he not doing this? And that I agree with. That was held back a lot.
Now, let me ask you a question. So you have a president of the United States, the leader of the free world, and you're talking about being subtle? Why in the world would you be subtle if the president of the United States and the leader of the free world is showing clear signs of mental decline? I think that is a valid point to ask. And here's more from Chuck Todd again. This is when he was on Piers Morgan, which was months ago, where he did call out the media for ignoring the mental decline of Joe Biden, which, again, clearly he has changed his tune over the last couple of months.
The only thing I can chalk it up to is this, whatever you want to call it, this fear that some members of the media had sometimes, that they would be perceived as helping Trump if they somehow diminished Biden, right? That it was some sort of zero-sum game. And I think this has been the fundamental mistake that many members of the traditional press have done.
So there you go. So, I mean, you can tell the difference between when he was on Piers Morgan, where he was saying, yeah, the media, maybe one of the things that they were cognizant of is they didn't want to be seen as helping Trump. Well, all right, he said that back when it was on Piers Morgan months ago. Now he is out there saying, oh, no, this wasn't a failure of the media. This was a failure of the Democrats. And he started naming off all of these Democrats within the party. So I don't know if maybe old upchuck there, Chuck Todd. I don't know if it's that he needs a gig now, so he doesn't want to go out and start bashing the people that he is sending resumes to, but clearly he has changed his tune. He was right the first time. Now, as he is trying to defend the media, really, it does, in my opinion, simply just comes off as tone deaf. It is 6:21 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, the Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. Joan, what's coming up in the news at 6:30?
We'll talk about a sad story out of Springfield, Illinois, after a car drove through an after-school program, the building there. Details on what happened in that story coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.622, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here for my carpet cleaning company, Zero Res. Now, I'm always so enthusiastic about endorsing Zero Res. This is a company, like most of my sponsors, this is a company that I have been using for years and years. I've been a client for a long time because they really do help my allergies. Now, carpet is the #1 air filter inside your home. And what it does is it filters out airborne particulates and pollen and bacteria. You name it, Zero Res will filter out the bad stuff so you can keep your filter clean. Again, your carpet. Now, Zero Res actually does this better than anyone. They don't use any harsh chemicals. They don't use any harsh soaps, just powered water that leaves behind soft and fluffy carpets. Now, remember, a clean filter means a healthier home. And here in allergy season, that is critical for you and your family. You know, they haven't actually raised their prices in years over at Zero Res, and every month a new offer to save you money. Right now, here in the month of April, here's the special. 2 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $109, plus you are going to get a free hallway. Again, 2 rooms of carpets cleaned for $109, plus you are going to get a free hallway and 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them, 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376, ZeroResNashville.com. You know, I was just telling you about Zero Res, and one of the comments that I made during that commercial is that, you know, like most of my clients, I am indeed a customer of the clients that I endorse. That is certainly true with my friends at DT McCall's. Now, they still have, although the sale is over, they still have a lot of Cub Cadet lawnmowers. And so if you need a lawnmower, DT McCall's is the place to go because, again, their spring sale is over, but the prices are still really, really low. And you've always got great specials at DT McCall's. Now, I bought my oven at DT McCall's a couple of years ago. This is a great America-loving company. I really think highly of the folks over there at DT McCall's. They've got whether you need furniture, whether you need appliances, whatever you need, outdoor equipment, lawn equipment, DT McCall's has great selection and great prices. All you've got to do is check out their website at dtmccalls.com, and they're going to show you all the things that they have, including specials every single week to save you money because they know the times are tough. Now, DT McCall's, they've got 5 locations across Middle Tennessee, no doubt one near you. Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Again, always online, dtmccalls.com. .628, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, you can always watch us on Facebook, X, 997WTN.com, YouTube, of course, as well. And I've been ignoring my duties regarding the WTN Daily Dan poll that you can find on YouTube. We actually did one today, and it's been so long, I actually have forgotten what the poll is. So, KGB, remind me what our poll is today, the Daily Dan poll. If you watch us on YouTube, you can always take the Daily Dan poll, and today it is...
Should Judge Hannah Duggan actually spend time in jail for obstruction?
Oh, she should totally go to jail.
So what do you expect the percentages for yes?
100% to nothing.
98.
98% believe that Hannah Duggan, is it Dugan or Duggan?
I'm assuming Duggan. I've seen people with last name Duggan spelled the same way.
I have heard Dugan and Duggan. I believe it's Duggan. I think that's what I said yesterday. Anyway, whatever.
Duggan in jail.
So, yep, she's got my opinion, she obstructed justice, and she did go to jail. As a matter of fact, I've got a whole segment on Judge Duggan. Remember yesterday, we did talk about this Judge Hannah Duggan as she helped an illegal alien who was accused of beating a couple of people up. I think they even had to be hospitalized. So you had the immigration authorities show up at her courtroom, and she distracted them and then hustled the dude out a back door, so that he could escape the immigration authorities. Obstruction of justice. And now there are even liberals who are saying, yeah, she broke the law, and for that, she's got to pay the consequences. It is 6:30, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, hello there. 6:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 4 children are dead in a suburb of Springfield, Illinois, after a vehicle drove through a building where an after-school program was being held. This happened yesterday afternoon. All of the victims are females between the ages of 4 and 18. Witness Arika Joe said that the vehicle entered on one side and exited through the other.
I walked up towards the park, and a man stated that there was numerous bodies covered by tarps already.
Now, police have not publicly identified the driver or the victims, and they didn't elaborate on potential charges. Murfreesboro School Board wants to change how it works with the local police department. And now the school board members say they want schools to install gun safes for police to store their weapons. And they want schools to outline when police can have access to surveillance video. Those items are being addressed tonight at the school board meeting. It's week 2 of the federal corruption trial of former Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Cassada and his former chief of staff, Cade Cothran. Yesterday, prosecutors called their first star witness to the stand.
Former State Representative Robin Smith was indicted for her role in what the government calls a conspiracy to use the state-funded constituent mail program and commit fraud, bribery, and money laundering. Smith told jurors that she agreed to plead guilty and then testify for the government, hoping the judge shows mercy and give her a lighter sentence. She will finish her testimony and cross-examination tomorrow.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams there. That is the latest news.
Can you?
Yeah.
Murfreesboro? Can you repeat that for me? So the school is saying that if police have to come on campus, they are demanding that they put their guns in a gun safe?
So it's not clear to me yet if they mean while they're on duty, those weapons go into a safe. But I can't imagine police saying that they'll leave their service weapon in a safe while they're trying to protect the schools.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
This could be something other than their service revolver.
Right.
You know, if they need extra type of weaponry for special situations.
Right.
It's really not clear to me what kind of weapons would be stored in these safes. We should find this out.
Well, yeah. I mean, if anybody is listening out there in Murfreesboro and you know the deal on this, and I'll do some research myself, but that just, it seems to defeat the purpose of having police officers there to protect these kids, especially if there's some sort of horrific thing that is going on. That is just dumb. That is, if it seems like what it sounds like, then that just doesn't make any sense. All right, go on.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So stock futures right now, they're moving a little bit higher. The Dow futures are now up 172. NASDAQ futures are down just 6 points. The S&P futures are above level now. They're at just 1 point higher. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan Mandis here, 633 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Speaking of which, the Glock Store and their 5th annual open house. It is happening on Saturday, May 31st. I've been to the previous 4. I love the Glock Store. Now, every year they do this open house. It is annual, and they welcome all of Nashville to come on in and join the fun. They also welcome a whole bunch of vendors as well. So if you're looking for specials on guns and gun parts and bullets and so forth, you can get all kinds of great deals at the Glock Store in Nashville, really all the time, but especially on Saturday, May 31st for that open house. They are famous for their incredible raffles, and this year the raffles will be nonstop all day long, giving you the best chance to win some really great gear, including a custom Glock handgun. And by the way, even if you don't win a raffle, there will be incredible deals on all things Glock, again, including Glocks. Check them out. All the details are at their website, shoot270.com and glockstore.com, shoot270.com and glockstore.com. Check out all the great deals and all the information on their 5th annual open house. It is happening on Saturday, May 31st. Check it out. You can always get great deals, and maybe, just maybe, you might win some stuff as well. Shoot270.com. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Renstall. Listen, if you own a BMW, an Audi, a Mercedes-Benz, a Porsche, any other European car, I've got great news. There is a new place to get your vehicle serviced coming. It is called Renstall. Now, they offer the best technicians, the latest and greatest diagnostic equipment, and yes, and really most importantly to me, they are dedicated to customer service. This is what they like to say, dealer-level service, but family-level care and honest prices. Not a corporate mindset, just a family business helping out their friends and neighbors by delivering honesty, respect, and exceptional service. They're locally owned and operated, and they exclusively work on all European vehicles. Now, Renstall, and this is one of the things I really like about them, they also proudly offer the Heroes Service Discount. Veterans, active duty military, first responders, and emergency medical personnel all get 10% off all repairs. They also offer complimentary shuttle service and free Uber rides as well, immediate appointment, and a quick turnaround. So check them out. And by the way, they're not open yet. They're going to open in May. So set your calendars. And what you can do, you can start setting appointments right now. You can find them online, Renstall. iTrustMyMechanic.com. iTrustMyMechanic.com is Renstall's website. Again, iTrustMyMechanic.com, or you can call them 615-777-7100, 615-777-7100 for Renstall.
Still paving work in Goodlettsville this morning. It's on 65, both directions, north and southbound. At Davidson-Sumner County line, one lane is open each direction while they're working on it. Also, the crash into Antioch at Century Farms Parkway and William Turner Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.638, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in, and hope you are having a great Tuesday. I want to welcome on in Matthew Hurt to the program. Matthew, always great to have you on. And, man, there is a lot to talk about. First of all, I hate to be the guy that says I told you so, but I did tell you so when it comes to the Democrats talking about impeaching Donald Trump.
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
That is, of course, a Democrat out of the fine state of Michigan. And that doesn't really surprise me. Matthew, this video, if you look at it, it really does look like a Saturday Night Live skit. But there's a couple of things. Number one, this dude's campaign is, I guess his campaign coffers, they are really in the red. They're not doing well at all. And so I think what he's doing is he is fundraising off of this notion to impeach Donald Trump. But what say you?
You know, you're absolutely right, Dan. This is when you get members of Congress in deep blue or deep red districts who try to nationalize their profile, these are the kinds of gimmicks that you see from somebody who is looking to fundraise. Any Democrat in a safe Democrat district heading into the midterm elections is likely to face or could possibly face opposition from the left in their own party. And so we're going to see these kind of gimmicks and tricks from members like this gentleman from Michigan and others all the way through the midterm election. And it is, you're absolutely right, it is a fundraising gimmick to raise his national profile. and to ward off a primary opponent from the left.
One of the things, though, and I'm going to ask you this about whether or not the Democrats, if they ultimately get possession of the majority in the House of Representatives, do you believe that they will try and impeach Donald Trump? You and I, by the way, both know that they don't need a majority in the Senate to try to impeach the president. They have done this before. We've seen this before. And it's all in this word for the Democrats keeps coming up. It is performative. But do you think that is a legit concern if they end up after the midterms having the majority in the House?
Performative is such a great word for this, and right now it poses very little threat. I'm not sure where these articles of impeachment are in the process. It certainly won't make it out of a subcommittee or committee hearing, but this is a real threat to the Trump administration and his presidency in the second half of this term if Democrats retake the House. Of course, your listeners know the impeachment process takes there's an act in the House that passes with a majority, but then the Senate has to vote to remove by a 2/3 majority. There is no chance that happens, and no chance that Donald Trump is removed, regardless of how the Senate races shake out. But this is an incredible handicap to his agenda, to President Trump's agenda right now, but even more so of a threat in the second half of the term if Democrats take the House.
I thought it was interesting, and by the way, that is Shri Thanidar, I guess is the dude's name, out of Michigan. But I thought it was interesting because this actually came up during an interview that Dana Bash had with Chuck Schumer. I'm done with the impeachment talk, but I'm going to talk about Chuck Schumer, just talking pure politics here. Chuck Schumer's future in the Democrat Party. But listen to this conversation.
Your colleague from Georgia, Senator John Ossoff, told voters at a town hall that he strongly agrees that President Trump should be impeached. Do you agree with him? Would that be a priority if Democrats were to take back Congress?
Well, look, right now, President Trump is violating rule of law in every way. And we're fighting him every single day in every way. And our goal is to show the American people over and over again, whether it's the economy, whether it's tariffs, whether it's Russia and overseas, and whether it's rule of law, how bad he is. And, it's 2 years is too far away to predict. Our job is day to day to day to show who Trump is, what he is doing, and it's having an effect, as your polls show. The American people are realizing.
You're not saying no.
Look, it's too far away to even judge.
Okay.
So clearly Chuck Schumer is dodging it. There's a lot of people that are going after Chuck Schumer. There are a lot of people saying that AOC should run for the Senate to replace him. I guess it's the same district. People are also talking about AOC running for president, which is astonishing to me. But number one, talk about the disconnect between Chuck Schumer and the rest of the party and this apparent battle that we're going to see between AOC and Schumer.
Well, you have to have in the leadership in both parties, particularly in the Senate, you end up having moderating forces in leadership. This is why we saw Mitch McConnell hang on to power in the Senate conference for so long. Schumer sees that it is likely that he will be primaried by someone from the left. It's the same situation as we see with this Michigan congressman. And he has to both lead a party but also capitulate to those elements on the left. We see Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois, is not running again in 2026, and he's the number 2 Democrat in the Senate. And so we've got individuals who will make these kinds of decisions. They'll either go the way of Dick Durbin and not run again, leaving the door open for someone more far left, or we have Chuck Schumer, who is in Senate leadership as well, who wants to hold on to that leadership, but also wants to sort of capitulate to those on the left to keep away a primary threat in a state like New York, where progressives and far-left voters are a significant portion of the Democratic primary electorate. We're looking at 10 to 15% of the total electorate in a state like California, in a state like New York, in a state like Illinois, that could really shape the outcome of a general election and an imminent Democrat senator like an AOC from New York.
645, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. I'm going to ask you about Judge Hannah Dugan coming up. And the Democrats, again, clearly on the wrong side. Going to check the roads real quick on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather for today, we do have a high of 86, mostly cloudy, possible thunderstorms as well later on this afternoon. 70 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matthew Hurt is joining us, our grassroots political analyst, by the way. So Judge Dugan, Judge Hannah Dugan. Now, one of the things that I find interesting is, and we all made some hay yesterday about how the word escalate is the new phrase that pays for the Democrats, talking about how Donald Trump is escalating his war against these judges. But the reality is that Judge Hannah Dugan, she actually escalated in her war against Donald Trump, trying to get illegal aliens, especially criminal illegal aliens, out of our country by distracting the authorities that were in her courthouse and trying to escort this guy out the back door. So I think if we're going to talk about escalation, you've got to talk about the escalation of these judges. Number one, this judge in Wisconsin, and also the judge in New Mexico, where he was literally harboring MS-13. I think it was either MS-13 or Tren de Aragua gang members. It's crazy.
Yeah, this is something where, of all the branches of government, the American people have had the most faith in our judicial branch for the longest time. We've seen progressives and leftists at the national level tear that down over the last several years, and particularly in the first Trump term with his Supreme Court nominees. But you've got, Dona Ana County Magistrate Judge Jose Luis Cano in New Mexico and Hannah Dugan in Milwaukee. These individuals are elected by the people to uphold the law. And in both of these instances, they're local judges, city level or county level judges. They're elected to uphold the law, and it is clear to anyone that they have violated the law. Hannah Dugan in Milwaukee is textbook obstruction of justice, according to a CNN commenter. And so there's no question that, again, these individuals are part of our judicial system. They're supposed to uphold the law. They are violating federal law, and no one is above the law. As Joe Biden tweeted, nobody is above the law.
Yep.
And you must uphold the law in any situation like this. If you are a member of the bench, if you're a judge who is elected or appointed or otherwise serving out your term in a judicial capacity, to uphold the law, even if you don't agree with it. And this is the case out of Milwaukee is really strange, because this is a woman who likely oversaw domestic violence cases, traffic citations. This is that low-level judge that you see at the local level, and she wanted to insert herself into a federal conversation about immigration, and sure enough, she did, likely violating federal law, and she's going to pay the price for it.
Yeah, and you talked about that CNN commentator. That is, I think is it Eli or Ellie Honig? And he's on CNN, and this is what he said.
Looking at the complaint, let's strip the politics out of it. This is a crime. If they can prove what happened here, it is a crime. This judge, let's strip the Trump of it all out. Let's strip the immigration of it all out. Let's say law enforcement shows up at a building with an arrest warrant. They're looking for person A. Person B then says, hey, there's a secret escape door out back. I'm going to show you the way, and then ushers that person out the back door. That is textbook obstruction.
There you go. And so, Matthew Hurt, you're absolutely right. We are day 100 of the Trump administration. What do you got for his biggest accomplishment? And I don't know if you have a biggest failure, but what do you think?
The most exciting thing to see in D.C. are the yard signs on the White House lawn of all of the illegal aliens who have been deported from the country. I think this is one of the biggest issues from the presidential election last year. The American people want secure borders. They want safe communities. Much of this is tied to our immigration system, and I think the Trump administration and Caroline Leavitt and other communications professionals in that orbit have done an excellent job. People like Scott Jennings on CNN and others. And so the biggest policy win is on immigration. The biggest political win is the administration's ability to communicate these wins through social media and other platforms. And I think the biggest opportunity here for the Trump administration going forward is continuing to advance and shoring up an electoral firewall in 2026 that allows President Trump to hold the House and the Senate and to continue through the end of his term to get these things done.
How worried are you about the political fallout of the tariffs?
We had Canadian elections yesterday. The Liberals held on with, I think, the slimmest majority since 1972 or 74. There is a little bit of that played out in that electorate. I haven't heard much else. There's a lawsuit from a professor in Arlington here where I live against the tariffs. That'll likely be dismissed because he doesn't have standing. But long term, it seems like things are stabilizing a little bit. As you and I have said before, most of the countries have come to the table. China is the big question mark, and we can wonder if Trump is playing 4D chess or whatever in that space. I think that is the variable that we just can't assess yet is what this does long term for goods that come from China, and then China is a global power.
Yeah, and part of this, as we wrap this up, is that I feel like we don't have enough information on the tariffs yet regarding what's going to happen. What impact is it going to have? What kind of a deal will we end up with China? What are the other deals that the president will ultimately negotiate? So right now, the tariffs are a work in progress. The media is doing everything to focus on President Trump's, they say, falling polling numbers. But I would say that the president, listen, if he wanted to just not do anything except the status quo, then he could have done that, and his polling numbers would have been more than likely really good, and he could have rested on his laurels when it came to illegal immigration and keeping men out of women's sports and so forth. But he decided to take a chance, roll the dice, and try to do this tariff battle with ultimately China and try to even the playing field. And President Trump knew there would be a political cost to this, and he has obviously taken that into consideration, and he decided to go for it. And hopefully, when all of this is over, we'll have a better economic trade balance with our partners, and the president would have been able to do whatever he's trying to do with China to lessen their economic and worldwide power.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right there. Most every other country would come to the table, and to get China to actually come to the table in good faith, it will take a ridiculously high tariff rate to show them that that the Trump administration is serious, and I think that he is moving in that direction as we see it play out in the news.
All right, Matthew, real quick, how can I find you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter at Matthew Hurt, MattheWHurtt.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. Always great analysis from Matthew. It is 6:54. Joan Jones is in the WTN Newsroom. Joan.
Yeah, we've got some storms in our future. We're going to take a look at just how serious they may be. That's coming up here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.654, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here, and it is spring rebate madness time at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. I want you to listen to these rebates. A mini split 17 SEER or a heat pump 17 SEER, that is an $800 rebate. Heat pumps 15 and 16 SEER, that's a $500 rebate. And duct sealing or repair, that is a $300 rebate. So many ways to save with Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. So you join the Beehive Club today. You're going to get a $50 rebate on your spring and fall tune-up, and that means that you've already saved enough money to pay for the Beehive membership for the year. Find them online, busybeehvac.com, 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, busybeehvac.com. .659 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here along with KGB, Jeff Malinoff producing, Joan Jones in the WTN newsroom. Joan, I think we may have gotten some clarification as far as what is going on in the borough.
Oh, really?
Regarding guns. It sounds like we've had a couple of people, this is what I love about our audience, is that they will let us know, maybe fill in some of the details that we don't have. And so I think what they're saying when they say that officers are going to have to store their guns if they're on campus of Murfreesboro School, they're talking about the long guns. They can still have their pistols,
right,
their handgun, but they're going to have to store the long guns if on campus, I guess if they're on campus. So in the case of an active shooter
Can't be
situation.
too efficient, I guess, with your gun.
Yep. All right, so that is the... That's that story. We have a whole lot more coming up, including a subject, an issue that I've been talking about for the last couple of months, Spanish-speaking or foreign-speaking truck drivers who can't speak English. Donald Trump has finally done something about it. We'll talk about that and a lot more coming up next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories, traffic and weather on the way. Stick around. You'll probably notice how hot and humid it gets this afternoon. Stefano DiPietro telling us that'll create just the right conditions for storms today and Thursday. But these are your garden variety storms. No tornadoes this time around.
So here's the severe threat for this afternoon and this evening. Now, if you're looking for the most rainfall coverage, that will be closer to the evening hours. But it's really fair game at any point today with daytime heating to get an isolated thunderstorm. Highest severe risk along and north of I-40, lower end severe risk to the south of I-40.
And he also says that there are some areas that will have absolutely no rain today. Despite online claims of an increase in drink spiking incidents in Nashville, police tell Channel 4 they're not aware of it. And Vanderbilt University Medical Center says drink spike testing is only available for sex assault victims when law enforcement are involved. The Sexual Assault Center in Nashville tells Channel 4 that city leaders are working on easier ways to determine if your drink has been spiked.
We want to know just as much as anybody as a city how many people are being drugged. It's just proven to be a very difficult thing to figure out, but we are committed to working on coming up with a solution.
Channel 4 says it is waiting for a response from the mayor's office. A Sumner County school bus driver lost control and crashed into a creek yesterday, injuring 5 of the 19 students on board. Tennessee Highway Patrol says the students and the bus driver's injuries are minor to moderate. Charges are possible for that bus driver. A man is under arrest for crashing into Metro Nashville Police Department headquarters sign early Saturday morning. Police reports say that Melvin Lainez Fuentes appeared to be drunk and had cocaine inside the car. He didn't have a driver's license either, and local media companies did not report on whether he's in the country legally or not. Lainez Fuentes was convicted in 2023 of DUI. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
The 3 major stock indexes swung between gains and losses in Monday's choppy session. The Dow Jones added 114 points to close at 40,227, while the S&P 500 picked up a fraction. The Nasdaq Composite closed off a fraction. British oil giant BP has posted weaker than expected first quarter net profit after a slump in crude prices worldwide. President Trump may be ready to put some of his auto tariffs into reverse. The Wall Street Journal says the tariffs on foreign-made cars and car parts are expected to be eased before the president heads to Michigan later today. And some of your favorite snacks may soon look a little different. PepsiCo says it's phasing out the use of artificial colors in Lay's and Tostitos by the end of the year, in line with a push by Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
And stock futures mixed right now. The Dow futures are up 142, NASDAQ futures down 36. We've got S&P futures down 4 points. That's the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. The paving work continues this morning on 65 north and southbound side at Davidson-Sumner County line. One lane is open there in the Goodlettsville area. And you've got your usual delays heading on 24 westbound into Nashville, starting around the Smyrna area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. How are you, friends? Welcome on in to the third hour. And got to tell you, for this Tuesday, April 29th, there is a lot going on. 100 days with Donald Trump in office. And I will tell you that there is a lot that people who voted for Donald Trump should celebrate. Number one, obviously, is what is going on with the southern border. I'm going to play some audio from Tom Homan. He had some great things to say yesterday during the White House press briefing. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. I do want to spend a little bit more time on the situation regarding Judge Hannah Duggan. And I think the reason why we want to talk about this in more detail, I just had a conversation in the previous hour with Matthew Hurd about all of this, but I want to delve in a little bit more on this case, and in particular, not only this case of this judge as it continues to reverberate across the country, but also how it's indicative of the hoaxes that the media continues to play on the American people. Now, the case of Judge Hannah Duggan, it does reverberate across the country still. She is the Milwaukee judge who shielded an illegal alien from ICE and other authorities. This dude, as I've been telling you, he beat a couple of people up so badly they had to go to the hospital. And so he shows up for court, and ICE and the FBI, they are there to arrest him. And again, you know the story, I talked about it. This judge, Hannah Duggan, distracts the officials, and she escorts him out a side door. She has now been arrested. Now, our Daily Dan poll, if you watch us on YouTube, is should Judge Hannah Duggan actually spend, she's 65 years old, should she actually have to spend time in prison? Because there are some that are saying that she could spend literally 10 years, the rest of her life in prison, should she go to prison. And well, what is it? 98% of the WTN listeners who took the poll said absolutely Judge Duggan should go to prison. Now, Eli Honig, and I played this audio in the previous hour from CNN, he has made news going against the grain of his network. He's on, again, CNN, by calling this out as against the law and wrong. And here's what he said.
Looking at the complaint, let's strip the politics out of it. This is a crime. If they can prove what happened here, it is a crime. This judge, let's strip the Trump of it all out. Let's strip the immigration of it all out. Let's say law enforcement shows up at a building with an arrest warrant. They're looking for person A. Person B then says, hey, there's a secret escape door out back. I'm going to show you the way, and then ushers that person out the back door. That is textbook obstruction.
Yeah, so now, you know, all these folks on the left are screaming about how this is an escalation of Donald Trump's war on illegal immigration, and now he's going after judges and trying to intimidate judges and all the rest of that nonsense. And really, this was an escalation by the judge, trying to physically protect a bad guy who beat up a couple of people so bad they ended up in the hospital by trying to get the authorities distracted and allowing him to run free, and she showed him the way. So to be honest, I do believe this is an escalation, but it is an escalation on the side of these judges. Now, before they were using legal maneuverings to protect these illegal aliens, and they were using signs to protest and so forth. But the escalation now is trying to hide these guys and help them escape. So Eli Honig, he was one of the original personalities, one of the first personalities on CNN to call out the hypocrisy on the left. He was then on with Michael Smerconish. I think this was yesterday, where he's talking about not only is what this judge did illegal, but the Democrats are wrong here and really exhibiting their hypocrisy.
This is where some of the hypocrisy to me comes out, Michael, because I've seen a lot of garment rending. Oh, he from liberals, let's just say it. How dare he arrest a judge? It is an intrusion on the sacrosanct nature of our courts. I agree that you have to think harder about it and be more careful about it as a prosecutor. But these are the same folks who were gravely intoning when Donald Trump got arrested, no man is above the law. Well, no judge is above the law either. And I know plenty of judges who, if a non-judge had done this, had shown someone a back door to help them get away from arresting agents, would bring the house down on them. So, look, I do think it's a fair point to say that's a precipitous line to cross if you're a judge or if you're a prosecutor charging the judge. But I think the prosecutors, based on this complaint, we always have to say it's a complaint. They have to prove it.
Right.
But I think the charge here is warranted. I do think this judge committed a crime. I've seen some really interesting gymnastic style contortions to try to explain why it maybe isn't a crime. I mean, that'll be litigated at a trial, but I don't see it. Look, when you look at this whole complaint, I don't see any way to objectively look at this and say the judge did not have intent to block this arrest.
So what is next for this judge, Judge Hannah Dugan? She's scheduled for court on May 15th on federal criminal charges, and it's going to go before a grand jury to see if there is enough evidence for a trial. And by the way, she is still getting paid. So she is on paid leave. Wisconsin Republicans, by the way, might impeach her if obstruction charges are confirmed. This is my buddy Jonathan Turley. I love his analysis. And this is what he said about how it is clear that she did everything that she could do to obstruct justice.
What people have to distinguish here is between the role of the judge and what she did. She was not acting as a judge at that point. She was acting as an individual who was helping the evasion of law enforcement. And what I find perplexing is I understand waiting for the facts to come out. We just got more facts about witnesses who said that this was intentional and the actions that the judge did. But what's concerning are all these Democratic leaders saying that she is this martyr. Well, if it's true that she actively secreted an individual, actively evaded law enforcement, how is that part of the judicial function? Many of us have said that we need mutual respect between the judicial and executive branches, but it goes both ways. She has to earn that respect by reinforcing her role as a judge, not as a participant in alleged illegality.
Right. I mean, here's the deal. If you look at the facts of this case, the judge literally helped a suspected criminal escape. So that is an escalation from the left. Trump's administration is simply responding to what they did. Oh, and there's a lot more. Wait till you hear, talking about the legal gymnastics. Eli Honig was talking about the legal gymnastics that some of these people on the left are saying to justify what Judge Dugan did. Wait till you hear what Rachel Maddow said on MSNBC. It is all straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7, 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. At 7:16 on Super Talk 99.7, let's look at your weather for today. 86 is going to be your high, mostly cloudy, possible hail and thunderstorms coming your way as well. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. 70 degrees currently. So Caroline Leavitt, she was talking about the escalation from the left on trying to literally hide and physically protect illegal aliens who are suspected of beating people up. And so she was asked about this yesterday during the White House press briefing.
Let's be clear about what this judge did. She obstructed federal law enforcement who were looking for an illegal alien in her courthouse. She showed that illegal alien the door to evade law enforcement officials. That is a clear-cut case of obstruction. You don't have to be a lawyer to understand that. And so anyone who is breaking the law or obstructing federal law enforcement officials from doing their jobs is putting themselves at risk of being prosecuted. Absolutely.
Yep. I mean, listen, if, what is it? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Is that what they say? Thank you, KGB. That is exactly what they say. Now, again, some people are trying to say, oh, well, this is going to have a chilling effect on judges across the country. Well, I hope it does. Because if you're a judge and you're thinking that you're going to physically help an illegal alien escape from the immigration authorities, then yeah, okay, then you're obstructing justice and you get to go to jail. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So if this is some sort of intimidation by the Trump administration, to me, that's fine. The message does actually need to be sent that judges have to follow the law because, well, you know, no one is above the law.
Let's be clear about what this judge did. She obstructed federal law enforcement who were looking for an illegal alien in her courthouse. She showed that illegal alien the door to evade law enforcement officials. That is a clear-cut case of obstruction.
She's obviously right. The one thing that I'm noticing, by the way, through all of this is the obfuscation of the truth. Just like this judge, right, tried to hide this guy and help him escape, the leftists tried to make this about rulings and not behavior. I want you to listen very closely to Rachel Maddow.
There's also potentially the intimidation factor towards all judges, right? That this has an effect on trying to scare and intimidate judges into not ruling against Trump or otherwise acceding to Trump and the Trump administration's demands.
So did you hear what she did there? She's talking about rulings. She's talking about the law and not behavior, right? Because nothing Donald Trump did regarding the charges being brought up against this Judge Hannah Dugan, it's not based on a ruling. It's literally based on the fact that what she is trying to do, what she tried to do, was help this guy escape federal immigration authorities. So she's lying. A big shock. Rachel Maddow and the people over there at MSNBC lying. Again, let me play that for you one more time. I know, but it's only 14 seconds. Listen how she's trying to make it about a ruling and not the judge's actual physical behavior.
There's also potentially the intimidation factor towards all judges, right? That this has an effect on trying to scare and intimidate judges into not ruling against Trump or otherwise acceding to Trump and the Trump administration's demands.
See what I mean? See what she did there? Dugan actively broke the law, and she knew that she did. This had nothing to do with a ruling against Donald Trump. This had to do with a judge purposely distracting federal agents, sending them to another courtroom, helping the illegal alien escape out a side door. That's not a ruling. That is obstruction. How about Jamie Raskin? Congressman Jamie Raskin, again. Wasn't Jamie Raskin a congressman from Maryland?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure he's from Maryland. And listen to how he doesn't really answer the question about how Judge Dugan obstructed justice. It's all about simply going after judges because they disagreed with Donald Trump.
There's this constant vilification and demonizing of the judges that we've got to turn around. And obviously, arresting a county court judge in Wisconsin is a dramatic escalation of these tactics.
A dramatic escalation, and one I think that will escalate the kind of response that they get as well. I think that it was a shock to the system, I think, when people saw those headlines.
So, I mean, you see what we have before us here, friends. It is another hoax. That Donald Trump, this is the hoax from the media and the people on the left, that Trump arrested this poor judge for simply disagreeing with her when, in reality, she actually broke the law by physically helping this guy escape. So now, again, her next hearing is going to be on May 15th, and we'll keep you updated on that story. It is 7:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 7:20, and Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up?
Yeah, the liberals are staying in power for our neighbors to the north. Also, how the media has covered President Trump in his first 100 days. More on that coming up here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here for my friends at Xfinity. I have been a client of Xfinity for years and years and years, frankly, before I started endorsing them. Now, we all know about storms here in Middle Tennessee. They can happen quick, and they can really disrupt our lives. Thankfully, there's Xfinity. Now, they can help you stay connected even when the power is out, keeping you informed and your family in the know. Now, storm-ready Wi-Fi from Xfinity can help you stay reliably connected with unlimited data to back you up, and keeps your home online with free, unlimited cellular data. Storm-ready Wi-Fi will also automatically switch over to cellular data during outages. Heck, even on sunny days, it keeps working for you by extending your Wi-Fi network and reducing dead spots, like if you're out by the pool. Now, Xfinity is the first internet provider in America to keep you connected through outages with unlimited cellular data. Storm-ready Wi-Fi only from Xfinity. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 1-800-XFINITY, 1-800-XFINITY, online xfinity.com, or step into a store today. $7:25, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my friends in Nashville Tent and Awning. What big events do you have planned? Whether it is a big corporate event, maybe a family reunion, maybe a wedding, a birthday, a graduation party, you name it, Nashville Tent and Awning, they can help you with an incredible enclosure that can be installed anywhere. So let's say, for example, you have a birthday party you want to do in July, and your house is too small, but you got a big backyard. You can have Nashville Tent and Awning come out and put up a great enclosure, and you're shielded from the sun. You can make it look as fancy or as casual as you want. That's what I love about Nashville Tent and Awning. They just give you more options. Now, they are one of the top companies in Nashville. Think about your backyard. They can actually extend your living space with that backyard enclosure so that you can enjoy the nice shade as the sun gets hotter and we head into summertime. If you have an event for work coming up, those same enclosures or tents can help you there as well. Get some visuals and check it all out at their website, ntaco.com, ntaco.com, 615-329-3701, 615-329-3701. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Solid craftsmanship and built to last since 1884. Nashville Tent and Awning. .727, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A while back, we talked about this story of the truck driver in Austin, Texas, who killed a bunch of people. He was driving this big rig, and he was driving impaired, meaning he was on some sort of medication or some sort of pill, whatever it was, that basically impaired his driving. And he's driving one of these big rigs. And what made this particularly controversial, he killed like 5 people. But he also couldn't speak English. Remember this soundbite? It's very impactful.
What happened? Well, I'm coming and somebody left you and I got here. So. But the traffic was there, bro. Like, there's no way it should have been. I'm a trucker myself, bro. Yeah. You're not putting that. You were going too fast.
If you listen, he can't even speak English.
They're dead. Dead? Yes, dead. Oh my goodness. They're dead, bro. 2 of them are dead, bro. And I don't know about the rest. Huh? I don't know about the rest. But 2 for sure. 2 for sure. Bro, they finna lock your ass up. Huh? They finna lock your ass up. They're gonna lock you up. I'm lucky. They're gonna lock you up.
Just a horrifying story, and the video to go with it is equally as horrifying. Well, President Trump yesterday has now signed an executive order, and I love this, mandating that truckers need to speak English.
And then the third executive order will be a order directing the Department of Transportation to include English literacy tests for our truckers. This is a big problem in the trucking community that, unless you're in that community, you might not know. But there's a lot of communication problems between truckers on the road with federal officials and local officials as well, which obviously is a public safety risk. So we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our economy, are all able to speak English. That's a very common sense policy in the United States of America. So the president will be signing that later this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, there are, and I've spoken about all of this in the past several months, but you know, you've got these companies, these corporations, or whatever you want to call them, that will bring people here and get them through the process of getting a license, and they can't even speak English. And it is dangerous to people in America on the roads. It's dangerous to the community. And by the way, that also suppresses wages for American and English-speaking truckers. I love what the president did. A lot of other people do as well. And as Caroline Levitt said, it's just common sense. It is 7:30 on WTN.
Good morning, 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Some problems on 65 this morning. They're doing paving both directions on 65 right at the Davidson-Sumner County line. Then you've got a problem on 65 This is northbound in the Spring Hill area. That's a stalled out semi truck. The right lane is blocked off right at Saturn Parkway. Be careful in that area this morning. More in traffic and with weather coming up right after the news. While final seat totals are still pending, Canadian broadcasters have called Mark Carney is now leading the Liberals to victory in Canada's election that took place yesterday.
And there you have it. CTV News Decision Desk declaring a Liberal win. We know that the Liberals will be forming the next government of Canada. The big question right now
that cements the Liberal Party's decade in power. Carney had been Prime Minister-elect after Justin Trudeau resigned in March. Here in Nashville, Metro Police are working to identify 2 bodies found in Donaldson. Somebody out for a walk near Lincoln Bay Apartments discovered the bodies, both men. They had been shot. Police say they don't have any suspect information yet.
We are looking to see, obviously, if this has any gang affiliation. All options are open at this juncture. Some representatives from the federal government are also here as we try to advance this investigation and see just what exactly has occurred and who's responsible.
That's Metro Police spokesman Don Aaron reporting there. Anybody with information about the case is being asked to call Crime Stoppers. While the Trump administration is celebrating the first 100 days of his second term in office, the press has been less than celebratory. The Media Research Center has compiled data. They found major network media coverage during the first 100 days has been 92% negative. The report also says the same networks provided Joe Biden with 59% positive coverage during his first 100 days. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather ahead. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Dan Mendes here. I want to tell you about my friends at Renstall. Listen, if you own a European vehicle, if you own a BMW, an Audi, a Mercedes-Benz, a Porsche, other European cars, I've got great news. There is a new place to get your vehicle serviced beginning next month, Renstall. Now, this is a great company, family-owned and operated as well, a local company. And they offer the best technicians, the latest and greatest diagnostic equipment. They are dedicated at Renstall to customer service. Now, this is, they like to say, and it makes a lot of sense, this is dealer-level service, but family-level care and honest pricing. Not a corporate mindset, just a family business helping out our neighbors and friends by delivering honesty, respect, and exceptional service. It is hard to find good auto mechanics these days. Renstall is going to be one of the best. Now, again, locally owned and operated. They exclusively work on all European vehicles. And one of the things that I'll point to with Renstall and how these folks are really looking out for our community, they're proudly offering the Heroes Service Discount. So veterans, active military, first responders, and emergency medical personnel all getting a 10% discount on all repairs. They also offer complimentary shuttle service, free Uber rides as well, immediate appointments, and a quick turnaround. So again, they're not open yet. They're going to be open here in the next several weeks, but they are taking appointments right now for the month of May. Find them online. iTrustMyMechanic.com. That's their website. iTrustMyMechanic.com, 615-777-7100. Book your appointments now, 615-777-7100. Conveniently located across the street from the Academy of Country Music. iTrustMyMechanic.com. .35 on WTN. Dan Mendes here. You know, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get crazy, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. You can get a quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. Listen, big old storm comes through, knocks the power out in your neighborhood. You are going to have power with your backup home standby generator from the Generator Supercenter. They feature expert installation, 24-hour monitoring. They're not going to leave you in the dark. Financing is available. 615-879-1952. 615-879-1952. Generator Supercenter of Nashville.com.
Okay, so 65 looks like the trouble spot this morning, both north and southbound. It's paving work in Goodlettsville, and it takes out one lane there. Then Spring Hill, it's a stalled out semi on 65 northbound at Saturn Parkway, and the traffic center says the right lane is blocked off. It's right at the entrance as you come onto northbound 65 from Saturn Parkway. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.37, Nashville's Morning News. Joan.
Yes, sir.
How much do you pay attention to polling? And KGB, you can participate in this too. How much do you pay attention to polling? Because, CNN, they are all over this polling that they've got that shows that Donald Trump, his
so unpopular
favorability is down.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so unpopular. I mean, it was like they're at least 100 days in. He's the least popular president of all modern presidents or whatever. I'm not even paying attention.
Yeah, I have to say, it comes with the distrust of the press overall.
Yep.
When they front these numbers, you have to wonder how they're asking the questions. We don't know who they're asking the questions of.
Yep.
It's just there's too much that they've already colored how we feel about them. We can't trust them with this either.
Did you, and you said in your newscast that the media coverage of Trump has been what percentage negative?
92% negative.
92%?
That's low for the media.
Yeah, usually it's like 97 or 98, so he must be doing something right.
Think about what Joe Biden did. How can you criticize this?
And Joan, Shanga Kawawa.
How can you hate on that?
Yeah.
Or even the best one.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie?
Oh, yeah.
How can you hate on that? That is pure presidential mindset right there.
Yeah.
You have to have a mind to have mindset, and Joe Biden clearly didn't have it.
Had no mind.
Ba-da-ba.
For those, if anyone is wondering, I was sarcastic before people get out of hand. Just had to make sure. You never know nowadays.
So it seems to me like if Trump has a falling popularity, part of it has to be because of the constantly droning on negative coverage. I mean, if it's 92% negative,
yeah.
And Joe Biden was, you said, 52% negative during his first 100 days?
No, 59% positive.
59% positive. Got it. Yeah, and you know, and I stand by what I said earlier, which is, and I said this to Matthew Hurt, and I monologued on it in the 5, which is, if Trump just wanted to do the status quo, he could have, fixed the border easily, which, he has as far as people coming across the border. He could have protected women and women's sports and a lot of the other things that he's done. A lot of the unpopularity of Donald Trump right now is based on the tariffs. Most of the coverage of Trump's tariff war is negative. And you have, and I've talked about this before, but you've got all these media outlets that are wishing and hoping and praying for a recession. And so that's part of the dynamic. So when they say that, oh, Donald Trump's numbers are down, well, part of that is because of their constant droning on of negative. So I don't really believe any of it. And here's the other thing that I would say is that with Trump, he didn't have to take on the tariff war. He is trying to literally redo our economy because our economy is not sustainable in the long run. And so he wants to legit eliminate federal income taxes and replace that with tariffs. At least that's what he says. And the trade war, the trade is unbalanced. I mean, if we are going to send goods to China, why are they tariffing us whatever it is? And we don't tariff them at the same price, at the same tariff rate. So in other words, he wants to balance the playing field. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I truly don't. And by the way, there is this headline from Fox, which I guarantee you won't see this on CNN. Foreign and domestic investments totaling over $5 trillion under Donald Trump, and has added 451,000 jobs for Americans. So the thing that the media does is they always focus on everything negative about Donald Trump, how things are going to be more expensive. And I do believe that it will be more expensive in the short term. As I keep saying ad nauseum, we don't know what's going to happen in the long term. We don't. We don't know how China's going to react. We don't know about all of these deals that, CNN right now, first 100 days, trade war, market chaos, government reshape defined Trump's first 100 days. Okay. Trade war, again, we don't know how this is going to play out. Market chaos. Obviously, the market's going to go up and down. Trump took that chance. Trump is actually making, and let's be honest, when you talk about Donald Trump, one of the words that always comes to mind when I think of Trump is this is a guy who makes sacrifices for the American people and for America. He makes sacrifices. Why do I say that? Well, because he gave up his massive business empire to come make, $278,000 as a president of the United States. I think that's what they make. How much is it, KGB?
$400,000.
$400,000 as president of the United States. So, and he had to give up control of his business. The man almost lost his life. These are the kind of sacrifices that Donald Trump has made since day one of really his first campaign when he came down that escalator with Melania. The sacrifices that Donald Trump has made have been absolutely ignored by the very same media that covers him negatively 92% of the time. And so when I say that this tariff war, part of this is Trump is sacrificing his polling numbers because as CNN and others are going to report, his low polling is based on the tariff war. And the coverage of the tariff war has been abysmal. And it's also been, the best way that I can describe it really is just, they focus only on the tariffs, but they don't look at the bigger, broader picture of what Donald Trump is trying to do, like cut taxes, like bring in revenue from the tariffs and create jobs from the tariffs, all of that. And so deregulation, I could go on and on. It's all a big package. And so the media they continue to try to drive down Donald Trump's polling numbers because they believe that Trump will bend under the pressure. I think that's all part of this game that the media is playing. The CNN poll shows Americans are frustrated, disappointed, and angry at the state of the nation. Okay, whatever. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, and I agree with Joan. You can't trust these media outlets that are doing this polling. I don't believe them. I don't trust them. That dovetails right with the other story that we've been covering the last couple of days, where at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, guy got up and he chastised his own organization for, and I'm air quoting here, missing the Joe Biden's declining mental health. Well, they didn't miss it. They lied to the American people. So for me, I'm not freaking out about this polling, not in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to get to some details, by the way, on the foreign and domestic investments totaling over $5 trillion under Trump. adding 451,000 jobs for Americans. I'll delve into that a little bit more straight ahead. It is time for the traffic on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be mostly cloudy, a high of 86, possible hail and some thunderstorms as well. Right now, 70 degrees at Supertalk 99.7 WTN. U.S. investment under President Trump's administration has reached more than $5 trillion and is expected to generate hundreds of thousands of jobs, according to an analysis of company announcements and reports from industry experts. Now, you don't see CNN, MSNBC, or the networks reporting on this. And a lot of these companies, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get away from Donald Trump's tariffs. We've spoken about this ad nauseum over and over again. They say in total, through both domestic and foreign investments from 4 different countries, various U.S. industries and manufacturers have garnered roughly $5.2 trillion in investments since January 20th, 100 days ago. In turn, these commitments are estimated to generate at least 451,000 new jobs for Americans. And we've told you about all of these collectively, friends. Some of the biggest domestic investors include Apple, NVIDIA, SoftBank, Oracle, and OpenAI. The latter 3 companies invested $500 billion, and on it goes. So in other words, if you're liberal friends, because I get emails, I get direct messages, I get notes on the super text line, it goes on and on. Oh, what do you think about the polling of Donald Trump 100 days in, and he's got the lowest polling of any president ever? Do you know what the other thing that I would say? Is this true, KGB? You're really smart. I think Donald Trump has done more than any other president in his first 100 days. I think that is an absolute fact with the executive orders and the closing of the border and everything the president has tried to do. When you are that active, you are going to have some naysayers.
Yeah, so his last, I believe he had more executive orders, I think almost double than what Biden did in his, because Biden had the record for most executive orders like in his first day. I think Trump surpassed that by at least, it was close to double or over double. It was in that time frame. Absolutely. And listen, when Trump came in, there was a lot that needed to be fixed. And so I'm not worried. And if your snooty, snarky liberal friends try to engage you and start talking about Trump's low polling, just talk about all of the success stories that Donald Trump has had. Because remember, polling is not going to change the country. Donald Trump is trying to change the country. And I love what the president is doing, has been doing, and is going to keep on doing, because he is looking out for the American people. Did you see what J.D. Pritzker said? Jonah, KGB? Did you hear it, J.D.? You know J.D. Pritzker, right? He is the governor for the state of Illinois. Gross.
Big, fat. I mean, he is like Chris
that
Christie
guy.
fat.
I was just saying Illinois is gross, but he's grosser.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's my bad.
He's the male Lori Lightfoot.
Fat shamer.
Anyway,
we going there?
No, we're not, because if you're going to hate on J.D. Pritzker, there's a lot more to hate on. Like, for example, this. Listen.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now. These Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
So one of the things that you heard him say is that he's calling for disruption and that Republicans must never have a moment of peace. So realize...
Right on the verge of violence, yes?
Realize this comes after 2 assassination attempts on Donald Trump, the George Floyd riots, a crazed lunatic outside of Justice Kavanaugh's house with a knife, course, years ago, that gunman attacks a softball field full of Republicans, shoots Steve Scalise. That was back in 2017. And, of course, the Democrats seemingly okay with assassinating Donald Trump or Elon Musk, according to that poll a few weeks ago on the assassination culture of Democrats. And, of course, we all know what happened with Tesla and firebombing the Teslas. And so in the Tesla dealerships, Stephen Miller, of course, we all know Stephen Miller from the Trump administration, man, he heard that.
Well, what I would say is that his comments, if nothing else, clearly could be construed as inciting violence. So President Trump survived 2 assassination attempts against his life. Of course, there's been many more credible threats against President Trump and his family and associates. We've, of course, seen the spate of left-wing domestic terrorism all across this country. By the way, the destruction of property sits directly adjacent to attacks on humans and physical attacks. In other words, once you tolerate and once you allow for attacks on property, you're just a step away from people throwing Molotov cocktails into people's homes. And you've even seen some, I think one example of a formerly prominent Washington Post journalist who seemed to be celebrating the murder of a healthcare CEO.
Yep.
Right? Health insurance CEO.
Yep. Taylor Lorenz. Have you wondered, Joan, knowing what we now know about Taylor Lorenz, how did she ever become a Washington Post journalist?
I don't get it.
Have you thought about that?
Yeah.
Like I know that she says abhorrent things, and I know that she's a dimwit, but the Washington Post is supposed to be for seasoned, journalists.
It makes you question the Washington Post.
Absolutely, it does.
Not necessarily Taylor Lorenz, because we know what level of intellect she has.
You think she just cried in the interview, just like making a huge scene, and he was so embarrassed. You're just like, fine, we'll just give you this. Just leave me alone.
I don't know, but you talked about the level of, I don't know what exactly how you framed it, but when you said that, the shallowness, like maybe the top step of getting into a pool, that is how shallow Taylor Lorenz is. And yet somehow she made it to the Washington Post.
Yeah.
Now, the Washington Post is the newspaper of record, is it not? And the New York Times is the gray old lady. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you sure? Because you don't sound confident.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I was trying to think, is it grand old lady or gray old lady? She's gray.
It's a gray old lady.
Yeah. You're right.
I think I'm right. Anyway, more of Stephen Miller.
And that's the point we've reached in this country, where people are engaging in rhetoric and behavior that puts the lives of public servants in danger, puts the lives of conservative Americans in danger. And so that's the first thing I would say. And then, of course, secondly, right, just this war that Democrat governors and mayors are waging against federal law enforcement. I mean, this is nullificationist behavior. This is secessionist behavior. Where this thing, they don't recognize the supremacy of federal law enforcement in terms of protecting the lives and livelihoods of American citizens against a foreign invasion. We've never seen anything like it. And, of course, the result of their conduct is that they're allowing illegal aliens to go free and rape and murder their own citizens. So I can imagine having a leader in a city or a state that would privilege the well-being of illegal alien murderers over their own citizens, but that's where we are right now.
I mean, Stephen Miller. And he absolutely knocked that out of the park, which I went ahead and just played, these entire long clips, because he is making sense. So, Joan, behind the scenes, I've actually, because you have me doubtful now about the New York Times. Okay, good. It wasn't just me.
So I actually have info on this. So it looks like that it's the it's the old lady. It's the gray old lady, because they were on in the Times was on a street called they were called Old Lady of 43rd Street. That was like their origins, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So it is the gray old lady.
So, and I think that's what I said, right? The gray old lady?
Yeah,
that's what I said.
It's not grand, it's gray.
Yeah, fine. And still doesn't make any sense. New York Times, the gray old lady.
I think they're one of their nicknames.
Do you know what I love, though?
Called the Old Lady of 43rd Street when they first started.
Do you know what I love, though, is how the Washington Post likes to call themselves the paper of record. They've gotten so much stuff wrong.
Yeah.
And they had Taylor
Democracy
Lorenz.
Dies in Darkness.
Democracy Dies in Darkness.
Oh, it's dead, all right. I watched it Post.
Good Lord, man. Anyway, so it's 7:55, Nashville's Morning News. With all that, I forgot where in the heck I was going with that whole thing.
Well, we had to have an important question answered.
We did. You know, when I get into the 8 o'clock hour, my mind starts going to other things, and I start getting a little loopy. Anyway, Joan Jones, what's coming up with the news at 8?
So I'll tell you what a Nashville teacher did to a first grader that got her put on leave. And President Trump narrows the tariffs on foreign automakers. That and more coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:56. Listen, it is going to rain today. It's going to rain tomorrow. It's going to rain the next day. A lot of rain, which is why you need to make sure that you have the number for USS Handy, United Structural Systems, 615-488-7855. They are experts in waterproofing and concrete leveling and foundation repair. When to stick to waterproofing, though. You go down into your basement, you go down into your crawl space. I've done this many a time, friends. Got an old house. And I look for that moisture. I look for that water in my basement or my crawl space. If I've got a problem, I call USS because they are experts in waterproofing. You know, they've helped me several times with my home. That's why I proudly endorse United Structural Systems. Now, I'm one of 30,000 satisfied customers. And listen to this recent review on Google. Guy says USS was highly professional. The crew was phenomenal. And he does give USS 5 stars all the way. As do I. Now, they're not going to charge you for any unnecessary repairs. They're not going to pay you a dime until the work is done and you're a satisfied customer. And they can help you with basement and crawl space waterproofing, basement wall stabilization, and foundation repair. We guarantee our best. Call USS, 615-488-7855, USSTN.com.
Good morning, 8 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Still got that problem this morning in Spring Hill on 65. It's the northbound lanes just past Saturn Parkway, exit 53. There's a stalled out semi-tractor trailer, and the right lane is blocked off. A Metro Public School teacher accused of taping a student to a chair.
This happened over at the Mount View Elementary School. The first grade teacher is now on administrative leave, while a spokesperson with Metro Nashville Schools says they're investigating those allegations.
Channel 4's Alexandria Adams there. Metro Nashville police are searching for who is responsible for shooting and killing two men. Their bodies found in a wooded area on a trail near Percy Priest Lake. This woman believes she witnessed the shots.
I was kind of scared. So that thing happened around 2:30 when I woke up, and I started hearing more and more. So it was maybe 10 times or something like that.
Police have not identified the two men who were killed. After several notable crashes involving non-English speaking truck drivers, President Trump is taking action.
Problem in the trucking community that, unless you're in that community, you might not know. But there's a lot of communication problems between truckers on the road with federal officials and local officials as well, which obviously is a public safety risk. So we're going to ensure that our truckers, who are the backbone of our economy, are all able to speak English. That's a very common sense policy in the United States of America.
And that's involved in President Trump's executive order that he signed yesterday, saying that truckers must know the English language. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt there. Trump designated English as the country's official language in an executive order in March. The Pentagon is confirming that an F-18 fighter jet fell off the USS Truman into the Red Sea. The aircraft carrier had been stationed there protecting commercial shipping from the ongoing attacks by Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen. As ABC's Trevor Ault tells us, that could complicate the recovery of that jet from the bottom of the sea.
Officials say it's unclear whether enemy fire played a role or other factors like human error or mechanical malfunction. And officials say the chances of recovering that $70 million fighter jet are quite low, as that is an active conflict area.
Now, the jet was being towed out of a hangar on the USS Truman when the crew lost control. One crew member was on the plane, a second on the tractor pulling it. Both escaped at the last moment. And President Trump is heading to Michigan today to mark 100 days in office. ABC's Mary Bruce is clarifying now how tariffs will affect foreign automakers.
We've learned that the president today is announcing that he's providing some relief for automakers from his staggering tariffs. The move means that those automakers who are paying Trump's tariffs won't also be charged other taxes on things like steel and aluminum. It's a sign that the president, even as he marks this 100-day milestone, is well aware that his trade war is taking a real toll.
Market numbers now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Futures are looking mixed. We've got the Dow futures up 151, NASDAQ futures down 14, S&P futures down just 1 point. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Still working on it. 65 northbound in Spring Hill, a stalled out truck in the right lane. It's blocked off. Got a crash in Antioch at Harding Place and Metroplex Drive and Nashboro Village, an accident in Murfreesboro Pike east of Bell Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.07, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The White House press briefing. Last couple of days, Joan Jones has been early.
Well.
And Scott Bessent is up there well, he was. He just walked away. But have no fear because I grabbed a couple of really good audio bites. So the Treasury Secretary went out there, just like Tom Homan did yesterday, crashing the White House press briefing. And yesterday was Tom Homan. Today it was Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And he was asked a number of different questions. This is, of course, day 100 of the Trump administration. And this was the question, first question out of the box. And it was a headline grabber, Scott Bessent.
On tariffs, the president said over the weekend that we are hoping that maybe tariff revenues could replace income tax. But we also keep hearing about the deals that the administration is pursuing. So my question is, what is the White House's ultimate objective here? Do you want to have long-term tariff revenue or deals that might reduce those tariffs?
I think it's a combination of both. So we're going to take in long-term tariff revenue. We put a process in place. We have 18 important trading relationships. We will be speaking to all of those partners, or at least 17 of them, over the next few weeks. Many of them have already come to Washington. What President Trump is referring to is the ability for tariff revenue to give income tax relief. And I think there's a very good chance that we will see this in the upcoming tax bill. The president campaigned on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and the restoring interest deductibility for autos, for American-made autos. So tariff income could be used for tax relief on all those immediately.
So you think that there is a role for significant tariff revenue in U.S. fiscal policy?
I think that it is something that got put away a long time ago, and I think that tariffs will bring back American manufacturing and generate substantial revenues.
So that is Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. And again, that was a headline grabber. Although, I mean, Trump's been saying this and Scott Bessent has been saying that. I mean, I literally said this like an hour ago, where what they're looking to do is rework the economy to focus on, yes, tariffs, better deals with other countries, manufacturing coming back into our country as well, lower taxes. President Trump has talked about completely replacing our federal income taxes with tariffs. And I, for one, am a little cynical on that. But you know what? If this is something the president is able to do, then I would love it if he did, because who wants to pay taxes? Now, of course, the folks on CNN, they are, I'm sure, crapping all over everything that Scott Bessent said, because that is what they are doing. That is what the media does, is anytime the Trump administration comes out and speaks, they are going to have something negative to say about it. Part of the news cycle this morning, as Joan has been reporting, is 92% of the coverage of Donald Trump thus far in his first 100 days. 92% has been negative. The other thing that Besson did is he spoke about Donald Trump and the art of the deal. And he talks about how and why this is so important for the president to do what he's doing right now, which is negotiating with all of these other countries.
Markets is, President Trump creates what I would call strategic uncertainty in the negotiations. So he is more concerned about getting the best possible trade deals for the American people. We had 4 years of bad deals for decades of unfair trading, and we are going to unwind those and make them fair. What we are doing is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty will be narrowing, and as we start moving forward announcing deals, then there will be certainty. But certainty is not necessarily a good thing in negotiating.
He's absolutely right. And isn't that, Joan, always been one of the positives about Donald Trump? Is he provides the certain level of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you don't know what the man's going to do, this is great, in my opinion, in foreign policy. If you don't know what he's going to do, then you've got to tread very lightly. And so for Scott Besson, I like what he said. What was it? The aperture of uncertainty? I'm not sure what aperture means. Have you ever heard of aperture of uncertainty? I may have heard him wrong. I've got KGB Googling. I immediately said,
I keep trying to spell it, and it keeps trying to redirect me to adventure. Is
that what he said? The adventure of uncertainty?
No. He said adventure, but I'm trying to see if Siri will do it better.
Yeah. Joan, you're a professional journalist. You've never heard of aperture of uncertainty?
No.
Okay.
Well, now this makes no
That's
sense.
Awesome. All right, whatever.
Hold on. It says it's in writing, or it means in writing, which that doesn't make sense.
Okay, we know what the man meant.
Yeah.
We know what the man meant. And maybe he did mean adventure of uncertainty. Because
I request 1 hour of the show to try to figure this out.
One of the things, see if you can have an answer by 8:35. And we should ask Chris Hand during the crisscross handoff if he knows what adventure of uncertainty means. Or ask the super text line, because, they're always right. Let's see here. But I like what Scott Besson had to say. And I like that they're doing this. Oh, aperture? Did he say aperture? That's what
aperture may be what he's trying to say.
Replay it. Replay him saying it. Is it ad or app? That's two big difference.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
Unwind those and make them fair. What we are doing is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty.
Yes.
He does say aperture.
Okay.
It's what controls the amount of light reaching the image sensor in a camera.
Aperture of uncertainty.
Aperture of uncertainty.
So it's what the shedding of the light on the uncertainty.
Aperture of uncertainty will.
Whatever. I love Scott Besson. Even the big words that he uses.
He's such a
nerd.
Nerd, yeah, okay, nerd.
He's a nerd, but listen,
yeah, he's smart. He's
our nerd.
So amazingly smart.
Yes, he is. He's amazingly smart, and he's the guy that people probably made fun of in high school.
Yeah,
but he turned out to rule the flipping world.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I love it. But everybody. Apparently, Joan and KGB, we are the only ones within the listening area that didn't know about the word aperture.
No, because we thought it was adverture. We thought he said AD, not AP. There's a difference.
Okay, so just so we're clear, not only am I hard of hearing, but
you can't see either.
I lack the fancy talk too. Anyway, it is 8:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. (8:15) Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather for today, High of 86 and mostly cloudy. Possible hail, thunderstorms as well. No tornadic activity to speak of. And right now, are we still at 70 degrees?
73
KGB?
now.
73 now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So the White House press briefing early today. It was early yesterday as well. And I don't know what time it happened yesterday, but I know that it was early because I looked up and it's like, oh, there's Tom Homan. But great moment in the White House press briefing yesterday with Tom Homan talking about Joe Biden, the Biden border, and the success of Donald Trump here in the first 100 days.
Every president ever worked for took border security seriously because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in, right? Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border because they understood national security was important. Joe Biden was the first president in the history of this nation who came in office and unsecured a border on purpose. That's just a fact.
All right. I just looked at my phone, Joan.
Yeah. Did Amy tell you that you're dumb?
One and three other people. Amy and three other people all telling me what aperture means. Did you ever, can I ask you this question?
Mm-hmm.
In school, did you ever have the teacher that said, raise your hand if you know the answer?
Oh, yeah,
and then you
sure.
didn't want to be the only kid in the class that didn't raise your hand. So you'd raise your hand and then she'd call on you. That happened to me. It scarred me for life.
Yeah.
And it was like, does anybody know what aperture means? And so, of course, all the kids in the class raised their hand. I would raise my hand and then she'd call on me and I would shank it. Completely shank it.
Even worse, we have people waiting with your number on their phone ready to text you corrections.
Oh.
That's what's going on right now. There's 4 people right now on their phone just waiting for you to mess up to correct you immediately.
Well, and these are just friends of mine.
I know.
These are people that I know. I'm not even talking about all my friends on the super text line.
But they're just waiting for you to mess up.
Yeah. You know
patiently.
What? Brian used to do a word of the day. Brian Wilson many years ago used to do a word of the day. Should we restart word of the day? Like every day we have a fancy new Scott Bessent type word.
We'll forget it every couple of days.
Like that.
See, Joan likes it. You like it, KGB?
I like that a lot.
But I don't think we'll be able to. I don't think that's something that can last very long. I think we'll forget. We'll give up after a week.
No, because I'm going to put you in charge of it.
No.
Yep. More Tom Homan.
Border numbers are historic low. Today, as I'm standing here, we are the most secure border in the history of this nation, and the numbers prove it. President Trump's policies are saving lives every day. There's been studies done that says 31% of women that make that journey through use of cartels get sexually assaulted. When President Trump has illegal immigration down 96%, when 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being sexually assaulted by the cartels?
Chris Hand actually sent me a screenshot of the dictionary definition of aperture. A-P-E-R-T-U-R-E. Aperture.
Yes.
I like what somebody said on the I don't know if you're looking at the super text line. Good Lord. I mean, it is just en fuego.
Grammar Nazis are everywhere.
So one person, though, said, it's so nice to have a smart person finally behind the podium talking about, as opposed to cringe Jean-Pierre and Joe Biden and all the knuckleheads from the Biden administration. Now we have a bunch of smart people in there like Caroline Levitt and Scott Bessent. I love it. And thank you, Chris. You know what I wonder, though? Do you think Chris Hand knew what it meant, or did he look it up when he heard that we were all struggling?
He looked it up as
I think
the three of us were looking it up.
I think he did. I think he did. Yeah. I wonder how many people were listening, and they're like, I'm going to show them. And then they all looked it up, and they said, Mandis, you idiot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mandis. No, I wasn't.
It's okay, Joan.
It's
okay,
saying,
Joan.
No, I would never.
Listen, Joan, I know how you really feel because I see you going back and forth with the super texters. When somebody says, oh, Dan, you're so dumb. Joan doesn't miss anything when she's on vacation. And then Joan says, oh, you got that right, mocking me behind my back in front of my face.
I have said it before, I'll say it again. They will literally take a bullet for Joan Jones. I'm not even kidding.
Listen, we all love Joan. See, you know why Joan is laughing? Because she knows it's true.
Yeah.
100%
She
true.
knows that she got caught.
I got busted.
If we were all three hanging on a cliff, the entire audience would rush to Joan and leave us for death.
Joan would get the hand up, and they'd be stepping on like our fingers, and we'd fall down.
To get out of the way to help Joan.
That's exactly right.
What I meant was that I don't miss coming. I was at the beautiful Fall Creek Falls State Park for the weekend.
Yes.
And no, I didn't miss coming in. I didn't miss getting up at 2:00 in the morning to come to work. And
I don't think that's what you meant, but that's okay, Joan. That's okay.
You're not buying it?
Yeah, that's the ticket.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, 8:21, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Joan Jones in the WTN Newsroom. Joan.
What you missed in that briefing, the press briefing this morning, was an amazing scene between Carolyn Levitt and one of the reporters. I'm going to bring it to you. I actually recorded it. I've got her words, and it has to do with Amazon Prime.
Oh.
Yeah, it's coming up here at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eight 8:22, Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here for my friends at Brentwood Jewelry. Again, remember, most, if not all of my the people that I endorse, I'm an actual customer of those companies. Brentwood Jewelry is one of them. Amy and I have both bought watches, and I think I got our pair of earrings from Brentwood Jewelry as well. Now, if you are thinking of popping the question, let Brentwood Jewelry help you take the stress out of selecting the perfect engagement ring. Now, they can help you find a beautiful ring in your ideal budget. You can browse their incredible selection of one-of-a-kind rings, or you can talk with their custom design specialists to create a stunning ring as remarkable as your loved one. Now, did you know that only 1 in 4 men involves their partner when purchasing an engagement ring? And nearly a third of women say that they would actually prefer to help pick it out. That's why Brentwood Jewelry is here to help you. If you're thinking about getting engaged, they can help you find the perfect ring, again, at your ideal budget. Find them online, BrentwoodJewelry.com, 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. Again, tell them Dan told you to reach out, BrentwoodJewelry.com. Avoid the stress of preparing to sell your home with the Mark Spain Guaranteed Offer. You can skip the hassle of spring cleaning and sell your home fast for maximum value. Dan Mandis here. You don't have to worry about showings, open houses, or costly repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate's Guaranteed Offer allows you to bypass the market and receive an all-cash offer and close within days. They've got 12,500 five-star reviews. You can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast with their guaranteed cash offer. Now, Mark Spain Real Estate's been serving families for nearly 30 years, and they've helped over 67,500 satisfied clients. So spring into action and sell your home with confidence. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD. 855-299-SOLD. Find them online at markspain.com. That's markspain.com, and start packing. .828, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I know what story you're going to do, Joan.
Oh, I knew you were going to find it.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm gonna let you have all the fun.
Okay.
Unless you're going to get mad at me. Unless you won't get mad at me if I talk about it now.
I'll get mad at you.
So the White House says,
if she's mad, the audience is mad, and they will come after you.
So I'm going to let you have all the fun.
Well,
However,
yeah, I had the audio, so you can't really harm the story. It's fine.
It's all right. It's actually a great story.
Yeah.
And CNN is running with it. So we'll talk about that during the crisscross handoff coming up at 8:36 here.
No
on
applesauce.
Nashville's Morning News. Andy says, because people are still focused on the fact that we didn't know what was it? Aperture. Do you know nothing about photography? Actually, no. I don't. I don't know if I ever actually took a Do you know? I don't know if I've ever actually taken a photograph with an actual camera.
Oh, with like a 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Like I don't know if I ever I had obviously I have my phone, but we had a Kodak way back when. Do you remember the Kodak?
Oh yeah.
Where I just take the picture and the thing comes out.
Yeah.
And but I mean, my mom would take the pictures when I was a kid. In marriage number one, my ex-wife always took the pictures. I must have taken a picture with a real camera at some point. I must have. But I don't remember.
But that doesn't mean you knew the inner workings of the camera.
No.
And you probably didn't care.
Yeah, when I say that I had no caring in the world about camera stuff,
yeah.
I mean, that is no lie. All right. And also there's one guy who every time we do a certain thing, Joan, he hate texts in.
Oh, no.
I'm going to talk about what that is coming up at 8:36 on WTN.
Good morning. It is 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. 4 children are dead in a suburb of Springfield, Illinois, after a vehicle drove through a building where an after-school program was being held yesterday. All of the victims are females between the ages of 4 and 18. Witness Arika Joe said that the vehicle entered one side of the building and exited through the other.
I walked up towards the park, and a man stated that there was numerous bodies covered by tarps already.
Now, police have not publicly identified the driver or the victims and did not elaborate on potential charges. It's week 2 of the federal corruption trial of former Tennessee House Speaker Glenn Cassada and his former chief of staff, Cade Cothran. Yesterday, prosecutors called their first star witness to the stand.
Former State Representative Robin Smith was indicted for her role in what the government calls a conspiracy to use the state-funded constituent mail program and commit fraud, bribery, and money laundering. Smith told jurors that she agreed to plead guilty and then testify for the government, hoping the judge shows mercy and give her a lighter sentence. She will finish her testimony and cross-examination tomorrow.
That's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. And apparently the bromance is over between President Trump and Jeff Bezos, owner of Amazon. News this morning that Amazon plans to display the price of a product and then next to it, how much of that price is tariff. It's something that White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt calls a hostile and political act.
It's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon.
Now, Amazon shares in the pre-market trading dipped 2% after that exchange this morning at the White House. And I checked Amazon, and it doesn't seem to have already taken effect. That note is not next to items so far regarding how much of the price is tariff. Money News brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Well, stocks are trading now, and the Dow Jones Industrials are up 43 points. The NASDAQ is falling 56. S&P is down 15. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. It is 8:32. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986. Listen, friends, if you own a European car, there is a great place that's going to be opening up in the next couple of weeks where you can get it serviced. They're called Renstall. So if you own a BMW, an Audi, Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, any other European car, doesn't even have to be fancy, Renstall can fix it. Renstall can service it. And they are here in Nashville, conveniently located across the street from the Academy of Country Music and 5 minutes from Music Row and 2 minutes from downtown. Now, this is dealer-level service, but family-level care and honest pricing, not a corporate mindset. Just a family business at Renstall, helping out, they say, our friends and our neighbors by delivering honesty, respect, and yes, exceptional service as well. Renstall offers the best technicians, the latest and greatest diagnostic equipment, and again, a dedication to customer service, especially our heroes. Renstall proudly offers the Heroes Service Discount. Veterans, active duty military, first responders, and emergency medical personnel get a 10% discount on all repairs at Renstall. Check them out online. I love their website, itrustmymechanic.com. itrustmymechanic.com, 615-775-7100, 615-777-7100 for Renstall. Listen, guys, if you're over 40 and if you're running low on energy, maybe you're just feeling off, lowtcenter.com is where you need to go. You can get started with testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT, and join lots of other guys who are going through the same thing as you. Now, you know, they've got clinics all over Nashville, and they're really easy to get to. You walk in, you see a real medical provider, and you get that energy back. No complicated process, just results. And again, remember, these treatment plans, they are tailor-made just for you. Here in the month of April, you can get a free consultation, and if you qualify, treatment is covered by most major medical insurance. So reclaim that energy and become you again. By the way, they can also help with prescription weight loss options as well. So head on over right now to the lowtcenter.com, their website, lowtcenter.com, and book your appointment. That's lowtcenter.com. Simple, quick, and totally worth it.
Police activity this morning in Rural Hill. It's on 24, the westbound side at Bell Road. So they've blocked out the right lane there. Not sure what it is that they're investigating. The Woodlands, a crash involving injuries. Old Hickory Boulevard at Woodland Hills Drive. In the Gulch to Mumbrian Street at 12th Avenue South. There's an accident. And one on Dickerson Pike and Belshire, too. That one involves injuries. And it's right at Westchester Drive. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.837, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. KGB is here. Jeff Malinoff Jones here. Chris Hand is here as well. I'm Dan. So you know what? You know what? Some people are inspired to hate text by what we do to inspire hate text.
I heard the tease, and I'm excited to hear more about this.
Wasn't that a great tease?
It was a good tease.
Joan, can you guess what the what a couple of hate texters hate?
They hate your not knowing the word aperture.
Yeah, that was epic. But no, not that. Also, by the way, I said Kodak.
Oh, and it's
Polaroid.
Polaroid.
I wouldn't have known that.
I know, because you're young.
Well, that's because you didn't live in the Polaroid days.
So that was the one where it printed out the picture.
Yeah, from the camera itself.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Polaroid. A Kodak is a type of camera, right?
I just remember the spinny wheel and hoping that your photos would come out good. Do you remember having to pray that your photos would come out good?
Yeah. I remember the days when you'd have to actually go to a
photo
development place.
And it would say 1 hour, but that's not what it's going to be.
No, it was never an hour. Oh, anyway, so the hate texters, they hate when we actually like deviate even a little bit from the news and we just like start having a little bit of fun on something. And then it's like, talk about the news. I hate that.
Yeah.
4 hours straight of news.
4 hours straight
No
of
happiness.
news.
Don't even smile, Dan.
The worst is when it's like you're covering what, we call topic A inside the biz, right?
Right.
It's topic A. So for a while it was Kilmar Abrego Garcia. That was topic A.
Right.
And then you'd get enough about this guy. Nobody cares. I'm like, it is the biggest story
and
in
then
the
you get the
country
people
right
that
now.
tell you to lighten up, right?
Yeah.
So
did you also hear that someone in Tennessee was trying to get the reports about him in Tennessee and was denied? Like he tried to get records.
Yeah, that was Michael Patrick Leahy, as a matter of fact. The Tennessee Star, and he actually sent that to me.
That's crazy.
Not really. When you
I didn't know you could just
zoom out and look at everything in context.
Yeah, the headline is, what is the Tennessee Department of Safety trying to cover up? They just denied our public records request for documents, images, and video from the 2022 traffic stop of suspected human smuggler Kilmar Abrego Garcia. Why would they deny that? I mean, it's a great question, and I don't know why they would deny that. Michael Patrick Leahy, our friend over there, Tennessee Star, he doesn't know why they would deny that either. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. I mean, obviously, if they're denying that, then they have something to hide. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Yep, we can agree.
Fair statement.
Okay, very good. Let's see here. So do you think I should revisit what Joan and KGB, what we talked about in the 5 about something we noticed about our bathrooms?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, because I checked.
What's wrong with them?
I checked the ladies' room, and it's not the same as the men's room.
Wait,
The
what?
urinals? Is that what threw you off?
No, not the urinals.
They're going to be playing in the women's room eventually. Don't
Why
worry.
is our soap watered down?
What do you mean?
Our soap in the bathroom is watered down.
I don't use the soap.
Jesus. Thank God I have this glass in between me and Chris right now.
Of all the answers I wasn't expecting, that was it. Yeah, our soap is like water. No matter what bathroom you go to, the soap is like watered down.
Yeah, I've never used the soap.
All right.
Soap is a communist idea, Dan.
No, well,
Soap doesn't exist.
There's a tub of hand sanitizer right there.
Oh, so you use the sanitizer?
I'm trying to maximize my time because I know I gotta fly back here, and I can do the rub on the way back.
Well,
you could have said that instead of pausing.
What do you want me to do?
Sanitizer doesn't clean your hands as much as soap does, and washing your hands with soap. Joan, you're a mom. You know, right? I mean, Joan will back me up on this one.
The hand sanitizer also, first of all, it dries your skin out, totally, right?
Here we go with Joan.
But doesn't it also eliminate the germs, and so your body does not know how to fight off a germ that it's never encountered?
Mama Joan.
I don't know. I only use it while I'm here, guys. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think there's anything I need to wash anyway. And if we're going to go into it further, I think honestly the best method of action would be washing your hands before.
What? Before going to the bathroom?
Yeah. You're touching everything, you're getting all this nasty stuff, and then you're going to go for a part that hasn't been exposed to the wilderness. I think you should wash your hands beforehand if we're really going to get technical.
Is Chris like Dwight Schrute from The Office, where he instead of getting washing his hands, he puts his hand in dirt and stuff to make his immune system be the best?
You get what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
It's science.
I believe that you should. Okay, if we're going to go down that road, we should wash before and after.
All right.
Well, definitely after. Can I tell you why after? Because we share a keyboard.
Okay. I use the hand sanitizer.
Okay, good. Good. No wonder we're all getting sick. It's hand. Hands got dirty hands.
Murphy texted in 100% with you. Soap is for losers who pee on themselves. Thank you. Thank you.
Wait, what did he say?
Soap is for losers who pee on themselves.
Well, then, so what it's is if okay.
And to be fair, I only use the hand sanitizer because of the social implications.
The social implications.
Yeah, you don't want to be the guy at work that's not washing his hands. I don't really care, but
if somebody sees you in the bathroom and realizes you've just gone to the bathroom and you walk out the door,
there's implications there. I should use something.
I wonder
peer
if
pressure.
I feel like this place is filled with germs now. I feel gross now.
Do most people? I wash my hands no matter what I'm doing in there. So, most people don't do that? Not do that?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Murphy, do you wash your hands every time you go to the bathroom?
It doesn't scare me.
What? Whatever. Moving on. All I was trying to say is that our soap here at the office seems like it's watered down.
It is in the men's room, perhaps,
in the men's
but
room,
it's not in the ladies' room.
I'm just wondering if anybody.
We're at full strength.
If anybody.
Full strength. That's great. I love that. Joan's the best. Should we just give the show to Joan?
I agree with Chris and Matt. My mother taught me not to pee on myself. So by all means.
Based.
Oh, you know what? Mario says splash happens.
Splash happens.
That is
especially
true.
on urinals. Urinals, that splash happens.
The dangers of the ricochet are there for all of us.
Yes, that's why you have to aim.
Your hands.
No, you have to aim.
If there's a circumstance that involves it, I'm not using a Band-Aid if I'm not bleeding. If there's ricochet, I understand.
You may not know there's a ricochet.
No, you know where to aim.
You know what we need to do?
You would know if there's a ricochet. You have a droplet.
Do what we need to do. We need to get somebody. We need to get some of our friends from the Metro Police detective people and get one of those things in here and just start, looking for all the.
We could do that ourselves.
Do that whole thing. Can we?
Should blacklight the office.
Blacklight the office.
No. That is a terrible idea. We will get codes. We will be shut down within a day.
Well, we would because we have watered down soap in the men's room.
Exactly.
Moving right along.
So how do you come to the realization of watered down soap?
It's been bothering me for like a year.
What?
It's just suddenly happened, and I don't know why. I don't
Well,
know
it's not suddenly if it's been a year.
No, but it's been. Oh, it suddenly happened a year ago, and it's been bugging me ever since. And I finally decided, you know what? Whatever. I'll talk about this.
It's time to take a stand.
And don't get me started on the one-ply toilet paper.
Well, we can agree there. It's risky.
Well, But moving right along, whatever. What did you bring for this?
That's a situation that warrants hand washing. I'll tell you what, Dan. I'll tell you what. Hey, Joan, what's up with your boy?
With my boy?
Yeah.
Who's my boy?
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
He had a scheduling conflict, couldn't
Dude,
make it to the White House.
You
What's
should
the-
have heard my hot take that I had in the 5. You want me to redo it?
Yeah, let's do
Joan,
it.
it was a hot take, right?
It's a hot take.
He doesn't love freedom or America.
So what I said was, dude, because they asked him about it, Jalen Hurts, the quarterback for the Eagles.
Philadelphia Eagles.
And
The
Super Bowl winning Philadelia Eagles. Go on.
I believe it's pronounced Eaglesis.
E-L-G-S-E-S, Eagles!
Oh, goodness.
So my hot take opinion on this is is that if you have a problem with President Trump, if somebody asks you about it, then have the testicular fortitude to say, yeah, here's my problem with President Trump. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is why I'm not going. Instead of just, you know what, I'm just not going to go. No. Have the
make a
testicular
stand.
fortitude to make a stand and tell the people why. Otherwise, you're just a wuss.
I'm with
so
you.
apparently Jalen got his feelings hurts.
Oh, roasted.
Maybe
What's
that
up,
should
Joan?
Feelings hurts.
Whatever, man. I got to go home. All right. Yeah. And I don't know what this is. I have a piece of audio and I'm not sure what it is. Should I play it and just...
Let's find out. Audio roulette.
Man. Finger
I
on the
thought
dump
y'all was
button.
lying to me on this app when y'all.
Oh, okay. We can do this. You have kids in school.
I do.
So there's a guy who was a substitute teacher, day one. And he got out of substituting day one. And this is what he thought about the kids in school.
I thought y'all was lying to me on this app when y'all said that these kids didn't know nothing. These kids don't know shit.
Oh,
like
jeez.
nothing, nada. They don't know basic math like addition, subtraction, division, fractions, multiplication. They don't know none of that. And it is really sad. They can tell you what a gay person is, what's bisexual, what the diddy do, what kind of gun this is, who sang this song, the lyrics to that, and they know all of that. They know what studs and dykes is, but they don't know what basic math is. Parents, what are y'all doing? Y'all are failing y'all kids. It is not on these teachers. All that they're doing there is just talk, play around, horse around. Y'all got work to do. Like, I'm not understanding, and they don't even understand why they don't understand. And that's more confusing. Like, what?
There you go. So he was horrified.
Yeah, it's funny, and it's also heartbreaking, and it's brutally honest.
Yes, it is brutally honest. Clearly, he was shocked. Somebody on the super text line said we had to get to Joan's story.
My story?
That was
That was in the newscast, right?
Yeah.
All right, with Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Now
okay, you want to do that?
Did you hear what Amazon's going to do?
So I missed that. What happened with Amazon?
Joan, go ahead.
Okay, so they're going to list the price of an item when you go to buy something on Amazon Prime. They'll list the price, and then next to it, they'll have a post that says X number of dollars of this price is tariffs.
Oh, what a bunch of bums.
Yeah. So Carolyn Levitt calling it a hostile and political act this morning when she was with the Treasury Secretary before the press. And the press asked her, hey, does this mean that, maybe Jeff Bezos is not his friend, President Trump's friend anymore? And she said, who cares?
Right.
It's just a hostile thing to do.
Well, when we had over 9% inflation under Joe Biden, did they do it then? No.
Thank you.
So obviously this...
That's exactly what she said. Yeah.
Oh, is it? All right, there you
Yeah, she said that. And also, I saw
Did she know
some
what aperture meant?
She probably does. I saw some people online saying, well, first of all, Amazon has been slowing down. They're obviously having issues with Temu and Shine. I guess that's the other site, the two Chinese companies.
Temu and Shein. Temu's like doubling their prices.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to pay, full price for those things. made
Top
with teeny,
dollar
tiny
for the
hands.
cheap products.
Yeah.
Bezos is mad because most of the stuff
He's
on Amazon is
mad.
made with tiny hands.
Slave labor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking
Little
of
dust
which,
up
I got
there.
an Amazon package 10 stops away right now.
Do you? What'd you order?
I got the notification. I have no idea.
What was the last thing you ordered from Amazon?
I don't know. I leave it up to the wife.
Joan, what's the last thing you ordered at Amazon?
That's a good question. I can
KGB?
look right now.
I got extra cords for my headphones.
Okay.
Because my last one broke.
What hat did you
I bought
buy?
a hat. You know what I bought?
You bought a hat?
I did. I bought a bunch of hats. And the hat that I bought,
I just realized what I ordered.
it's an American made. It's a hat with the American flag on it, made in China.
What?
Yeah, it's a hat with the American flag on it, but on the inside, it's got a little label that says "Made in China," and so now I'm debating whether or not I should wear it because it's made in China.
Just cut the tag out.
See, I think that hat, and I explained it to Amy, and her eyes started glazing over, so I'll try it here. So I believe, it's what it's like to be married to me, man. I just never stop. So I said to Amy, because I really like the hat, and it fits really well. So I said, maybe I could wear this hat, and it's like emblematic of why we are so dependent on China. So it's my own little form of Chinese protest.
I like it.
By wearing a hat made in China. See, it works for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Plus,
Joan, does that work for you?
Right.
Thank
Yes.
you. KGB, you're really smart.
He's
Good.
silent too.
Those,
All right, so-
those,
Yeah.
those kids
I'm
need
just-
to have hobbies too, or they're going to get into trouble. So if you're not buying the hats, they're joining gangs and
That's
all sorts
exactly
of stuff.
right. Now,
Right.
Joan, what was the last thing you ordered at Amazon?
Can I guess?
What?
Yeah, go
It was
ahead.
It was a Jalen Hurts jersey.
It was not.
Oh, all right.
Eagles hat.
It was
No.
Oh.
I believe that Joan ordered some sort of lotiony smell good stuff.
Oh.
Smell good stuff.
Good
See,
guess.
I think smart money is that Joan's too crunchy granola to buy her beauty products from Amazon. Smart money says she's got a local vendor. I think that what she bought had something to do with baking.
Baking.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I feel like you could make a mean set of cookies, Joan.
I can. You want me to bring cookies in, don't you?
Yes.
Sign
I
me up.
knew it.
Sign
Yes.
me up.
Knew it.
Stop the show.
I'm a mom, right?
This
I
is
bought
true.
something for my kids.
I can hear the hate text coming in now. Why are you talking about cookies? The
No.
world's ending.
I will fight them. Homemade cookies from Joan.
Joan, what kind of cookies are you going to make us?
You like chocolate chip?
Absolutely.
If anyone doesn't, they're
Deal.
communists.
By the way, TB says that my hat says dipsh.
Oh,
Yeah.
ouch.
This is
I get it.
Not nice.
Thanks.
I get
thanks
the
there,
reference.
TB.
Just
We got some mean textures.
TB also says Dan finally got 3 other adults to agree with him on something. I forgot even what I was talking about. Anyway, whatever. Moving right along.
We can get lost in this text of cruelty over here.
Oh, gosh. I know. Am I the only one, though? I can't be the only one that actually finds the mean texts.
they're my favorite.
I like to troll people.
Yeah, they're my favorite, too. I was like, okay,
There's nothing better than getting a mean text from a liberal texter and then sending back
best.
a kissy emoji. You do
Yeah.
that? I send kissy emojis.
But see, I like the positive texts, too. You know what I mean? Like, I like them all. But the negative ones give me more show fodder because the positive ones, here's what it is. And then we'll actually get to what Joan actually ordered. The negative ones I love to use for show fodder. The positive ones help my ego, which always needs a stroke. All right, Joan.
This show is
You like being
insufferable.
pet. The ego likes being pet.
All right, Joan, what do you got? Wait, what did you say about unsufferable?
That's what somebody wrote. This show is insufferable.
8715.
Yeah.
And
right.
why are you
Very nice.
listening?
If you think this show's insufferable, wait until after 9.
Do you know that do you know that I'm getting well danned by my friends and family now?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Have they said "Have a good day, Dan" to you as well when they're
Yeah,
mad?
I've got some of that too. But the well Dan thing is just like taking on a life of its own. So Amy well danned me the other day. Somebody else well danned me as well. It's just
It's bad when you get well done by your wife. You know?
I can't seem to get away from it. The youngling Riker has not figured out what exactly that means yet, but he's getting kind of curious. It's only a matter of time before I get well danned by the child in the house. All right, Joan, what is the last thing you ordered on Amazon?
I ordered poison ivy soap.
Oh.
Is it watered down?
Wait, poison ivy soap?
There is such a thing, yes. My son has poison ivy, and I ordered him soap.
Gotcha. I was a little confused for a second.
See?
I was like, is it the scent?
mom.
Is it the scent or something?
No.
It's got the chamomile in it, or chamomile. What is it?
I don't know what it is
Chamomile.
that makes it
Chamomile?
so good, but it works on poison
I, of
ivy.
course,
It's
know
amazing.
what chamomile is.
Can you
You do?
spell it?
No.
We're waiting. Oh, I didn't.
Well, Dan,
This show does not end.
You really add an aperture of uncertainty to this show. I wear that as a badge of honor, people. All right.
Well, Dan, have a great day, says John in Lawrenceburg.
You know what? I am going to have a great day. You know what I get to do? Nothing. Got all my honeydews done yesterday.
Let's go, Dan.
That's right. Had to go to pool store, oil change, all that kind of stuff. So I got
Beast
nothing
mode.
today.
Beast mode.
I was in beast mode. All right, Joan, what's coming up next?
Well, we've got storms breaking out later today. More on that with Stefano and the company that's cutting 20,000 jobs. Those stories coming up here at 9 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Chris, what do you got coming up?
Well, we'll talk about the election that happened last night in our 51st state, plus the number one issue among boomers in Canada. Also, Virginia Giuffre's lawyer has spoken out and released a statement saying that Virginia Giuffre, the Epstein victim, was not suicidal. We'll talk about all that and more.
Do you blame Trump for Canada sticking with the Liberals?
I
blame Canada.
I think... I don't know who to blame.
People are trying to blame
they're
Trump
an absolute mess.
because he kept calling them the 51st state, and so the people of Canada took it out on the conservative candidate, and so they went full-on liberal.
Well, and Pierre Poilievre, he didn't just lose the election; he lost his parliament seat.
Yeah.
And the liberals rigged it against him. They put 91 liberals on a ballot with him.
Yep.
So that way, there was no way he could have won.
Dan, all right, we got to go because KGB is about to have a heart attack.
Calm down, KGB.
No, because he knows the commercials have to run within 9. Dan Mandis here. Make 2025 the year that you get active again. If you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for over 10 years. I have never felt better. Remember the great deal. The Wellness Institute of Nashville is offering the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States. 47% off spinal decompression. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. PainIsBad.com.